lights, curbs, landscaping, and sidewalks within the parish of East Baton Rouge and the city of Baton Rouge and within the cities of Baker, Zachary, and Central on a priority basis determined by the applicable governing authority, and improving the Advanced Traffic Management Center, and authorizing the parish of East Baton Rouge and the cities of Baker, Zachary, and Central to fund the proceeds of the tax and the bonds. The announcement's been read.
Thank you. Council members, we only have 9 members here, so please, if you leave the chambers, please make sure we got 7. We need to keep 7 in here at all times. If you go to your separate sheet, we're going to go to condemnations, page 17, and go to your separate sheet, and we'll read out the condemnations and recommendations. Recommendations are to proceed for 88, 89, 90, 91, 95, 96, and 99. Defer for 90 days, item 97, and delete items 92, 93, 94, and 98. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on any of the condemnation items? If anyone would like to speak. We have for item 92, Mr. Willie Harris, Ms. Vivian Harris. Hi. Mr. Willie Harris or Ms. Vivian Harris would like to come up and speak? No? Okay. Anyone else would like to come up and speak on the condemnations? It's a public hearing. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members. Councilwoman Freiberg. Councilwoman Green, you want to move your item 97 from 90 days to 60 days? Okay, council members, are there any other changes? Okay, council members, I'm going to read the changes for the condemnations, the recommendations. We're going to proceed with 88, 89, 90, 91, 95, 96, and 99. We're going to defer for 60 days, item 97. We're going to delete items 92, 93, 94, and 98. Council members, I need a motion to move all DPW recommendations with stated changes. Motion by Freiberg, second by Watson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the condemnations have been approved. Council members, are going to go to page 18, public meetings, public hearing and meetings. Item 100, authorizing the parish attorney's office to acquire through purchase, exchange, and/or institution of expropriation proceedings and to take such other actions as may be required in connection with the acquisition of land necessary for the drainage servitude for Sullivan Road by the parish attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. I wish to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, I'm going to make a motion to delete this item. I have a motion by the chair. Is there a second? Second by Amoroso. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 100 has been deleted. Item 101, providing for a temporary hardship waiver of certain provisions of the Code of Ordinances and the Unified Development Code regarding temporary housing and single-family occupancy for a limited time for those residents whose primary residence was damaged in the August 2016 flood or whose fellow home occupant's primary residence was damaged in the August 2016 flood. Such a waiver is necessary to preserve the public peace, health, and safety as authorized in Section 2.12 of the Plan of Government by Councilman Amoroso. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Ms. Hawkins? Yes, ma'am. You can come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jacqueline Hawkins, address 3531 Casa Grande Drive, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Good evening. I'm going to read this because I'm kind of nervous. It's been a while. The August 26th flood event destroyed the public peace, health, and safety of our community as mandated by Section 2.112. Do I have to read all this? No? No?
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Okay, this mandate destroyed our surrounding areas near the Park Forest community, and we were extremely damaged. There are several questions and concerns I have posed to numerous city council officials, the community leaders since the flood, but have yet to get any answers. The very reason I'm here tonight is to finally get some answers. And I want us to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you, and I want you to be honest with me. Some of our homes have had sewer backup due to failed pumps and inadequate storm drainage system during the August 16th flood event. And here are my questions I want to pose to the City Council. Number one, on August 13th, what time did the pumps at pumping station number 16 fail? Number two, what day and time was power restored to the pumping station number 16? Number three, how did flood water leave our community? Some of you know, some of you don't know. In less than 12 hours, it went from boats transporting people out of the community to being able to drive in our driveways. I want to know how that water left. And will you provide a flow chart from our community that tracks this storm water to wherever it went? I want a flow chart. Number four, how did the flood water, sewage water, and whatever else leave our homes? Here I have pictures. This is my kitchen on one end of my home, the kitchen.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you got 15 seconds, and maybe on the
I
council
got 8
members,
seconds?
10.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I want you to look at this picture and determine what it is, okay? Oh my goodness, 8 seconds. Okay.
Now there's none. But I tell you what, the
Mr.
council members will come, when we finish with the public hearing, I'm sure a council member will call you back up if you want to finish with some of their time
I don't want
and help you answer some of your questions.
I don't want to stay here for all the finish the public meeting. But what I want to do is leave you these pictures and my questions. I have a total of 8. And is the public works person here?
If-
Okay. I've seen him before, and I want to give this to him and to the council.
Okay.
Who
If you could hand off.
should receive this?
Whose district is it?
Is it Erica? Is that you or Donna? Yeah, that's my. Okay. If you can hand them to Councilwoman Green,
Okay.
and we appreciate.
Well, you should inform people how long they have to speak.
Well, yes, ma'am. You have 3 minutes. This on the clock right there.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right. Okay.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Councilman Morosa.
Yeah, first, is my mic working? Okay. First of all, last year, after the devastating flood, it was brought to myself and at that time the former councilman Ryan Heck about the absolute necessity of providing housing in our parish to allow for trailers to come, into people's yards. And trying to work with FEMA, both myself and Councilman Heck gave a 180-day waiver. We passed a waiver that would amend A1 zoning to allow people to put trailers in their yards, and also to even have additional cars parked on soft surfaces in their yard. At that time, we said that at some point in time we would have to start coming in and phasing out this to go back to the A1 zoning. Well, as you know, today we still have a lot of people living in trailers. We still have people living with people. In fact, our mayor lives in District 8 with one of her relatives. So we still have people spread across Baton Rouge. But this is basically the same waiver that we passed a year ago, with the difference being is now we're trying to make it that a person has to show that there is a hardship reason why they have a trailer in their yard, and it's very much as I was told, the city's not going around and saying, oh, you have a trailer in your yard. They're not trolling for violations, but it is if somebody reports it and they investigate it and the person says that there's a hardship and can show that there's a hardship, then they would be allowed to have this, quote-unquote violation of A1 zoning. A thing that I find very interesting is, and I know I've been getting a lot of calls on this, and probably our other council members are, FEMA is doing the same thing with the trailers, that people now are having to show that they're actually working on their houses, that they have a plan to get back in their houses. If they don't have that plan, they're taking the trailers away. So we're beginning to see the trailers begin to disappear from Baton Rouge, but we don't want to create an undue hardship on our constituents that went through a terrible flood last year, but we still want to preserve A1 zoning. So this is what this resolution, this is what this does. It basically says, if there's a hardship, then yes, you can keep your trailer or your cars, on there. Sooner or later, hopefully, we'll get back to the point that we'll fully preserve A1 zoning. But there again, I'd like to make the motion that we pass this waiver. Thank you.
Okay, I got a motion by Amoroso, second by Hudson. Councilwoman Banks, you wanted to speak?
I was actually in a subdivision one that was heavily hit in Baker, that's in my district, and there I was surprised that like 50% of them still have trailers. And so based on the situations that Councilman Amoroso mentioned, where FEMA is having people leave or show evidence that they are working on it, how would is the A1 zoning threatened, or is that being used to, if there's a complaint actually against those that?
This is a totally separate process. If we get we have a complaint-driven system, so if someone complains there's a trailer in the house next, in the front yard of the house next door and it's an A1 zone, we would send them a violation letter, but they could come in, and it will explain that on the letter, that they can seek a waiver by establishing that either they were impacted by the flood, or we send the letter to the owner,
Right.
that, or their house guests, whoever they have in the trailer or camper is impacted by the flood.
Okay.
So it just creates a waiver process for our purposes.
I see. And that does not exist currently?
Right now, there's a blanket waiver. Effective when this is adopted, they would have to show that they were actually impacted by
Okay.
the flood. We've
I
had some
see.
people we get complaints about violations, and we have to say, well, we're sorry, there's a waiver in place, and the people who are violating the ordinance aren't flood victims.
Sure, okay. So it's to make sure there's accountability and verify the reasons and all that?
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I got a motion by Amoroso, second by Hudson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 101 passes. Item 102, amending ordinance 16382 as to renew the additional 180 days, the temporary waiver for Title 12, Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances governing the hours during which construction noise is permitted. Waiver is in response to emergency created by the historic flooding in order to preserve public peace, health, safety, as authorized by Section 2.12 of the Plan of Government by Councilman Matt Watson. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If anyone wishes to speak on this item, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Watson. I'm sorry. Councilman Watson. Who did? That was the last one.
Just as Councilman Amoroso eloquently said in the item prior, we've got a lot of folks who are in a situation of still recovering after this flood. Just as he mentioned that the FEMA folks are asking people to show proof that they're working on their homes so they can get back in their houses and get out of the trailers and get out of these temporary situations, get folks to move back in their homes and stop staying with relatives that they have the necessity of parking on the grass because they don't have adequate parking spaces. Certainly, we've got limitations on what we can park on city streets at 9 hours. We don't want to have these folks breaking these rules. But certainly, given the fact that so many people didn't get the FEMA funding that they anticipated, weren't required to have flood insurance, got SBA loans that were less than what they needed to fix their homes and are currently trying to work a job, live in their home, and work on their home at the same time. The only times some of these people have to work on their homes are prior to or after their regular workday. So this is an attempt to try to be an assist to those people who desperately need to be able to work on their own homes or have some other contractor work on their home. And we've had really a rush on some of this work and limited contractors who can do the work, so they need to spread their work out over the day. So I would love to see this pass, because we need to assist those people to get back in their homes, because we have a housing shortage. We have a shortage of houses that are clean, ready for people to move back into and live safely in. So I move that we pass this. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
It is a motion.
Okay, it's a motion, second by Freiberg. Councilman Amoroso.
Would the parish attorney come and ask? Councilman Hudson had a great idea that you have a chair closer to the microphone, but
Really don't want to do that.
I don't blame you. Ms. Batson, currently, what is the time that contractors can start working in a residential subdivision?
7,
Is that both residential and commercial?
yes.
If this passes, what would be the time they could start working?
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock in the morning. Is there any waiver? Is there any? Like one that we just passed, there was a clause in there that a person had to show that they were, had to show a need. Is there any? Does this have any a provision like that in this ordinance?
This is a blanket waiver.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. May I ask my colleague a question?
Yes, sir.
Matt, would you agree to just have a hardship waiver, that a person would have to obtain a hardship waiver to be able to have this work? They would have to show cause that they were truly that the flood was the reason that they're.
Let me ask this. Which branch of DPW, or the parish attorney, or code enforcement would you add the extra work to verify what you're asking?
Well, my problem is I get complaints all the time from people calling saying, they're working, I have a small baby and they're working right behind my house, and they get there, at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. And, I think 7 o'clock is reasonable. I'm just really concerned that people will take advantage. I know your intention. I know what you're trying to do, but I'm just scared that people will take advantage of this and start working at 5 a.m. in the morning, and people will be hammering and everything like that. And we have the reason we have this ordinance in place is to protect the public, and I'm just.
I understand. The reason we have proper drainage in place is to protect the public as well, and obviously it wasn't enough to protect the public in the flood. So what I'm trying to do is, for a short period of time, allow these people to get into their homes, and if the only time that they have to work on these homes is prior to the jobs that they need to raise the money, because they're in financial straits as well as having damage to their home at the same time.
Well, the thing is, the key, everything that works here is complaint driven. And being complaint driven, if a person is working in their house, laying floors or whatever, they're not going to be generating a complaint. But if they're working outside and they're sawing and they're whatever they're doing, running power tools, then that would generate a complaint.
Certainly.
In all respect to you, Matt, I can't go along with this. Thank you.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, Councilwoman Wicker.
Yes, I guess I want to kind of question along the lines of Buddy. I had a small portion of District 10 that actually flooded, and I do believe that we need to make sure that those individuals that were flooded have every resource and opportunity available to make sure that they are able to improve their homes. I guess my question was more or less outside of a blanket. Is there an opportunity for us? We know the areas that actually flooded. We have that information. Is there a way that we can capture this ordinance where it would be specific to those areas that flooded. And I'm like, buddy, I'm getting kind of the loophole in all of this is that you have contractors that are out there that are not working on flood homes that still understand that this ordinance is out there and available. And so I have individuals right here in Beauregard Town, and Beauregard Town didn't flood at all. And so we have individuals that, by virtue of utilizing the loophole in the ordinance, are out on the weekends, on Sundays, before 7 o'clock in the morning, and is literally wreaking havoc to individuals that did not experience a flood. And so, you know, is there a way that while we're making sure everybody has the opportunity and the resources available to them to get their homes repaired, that we can also protect the quality of life of individuals that may have not been affected by the flood? I'm just trying to figure out what is the delicate balance that we can strike to make sure we're doing the right thing and at the same time maintaining the lifestyle that people are accustomed to. And I don't know who to ask that question to, but
Is that
I
a
guess.
question or you just made a statement?
Right, I mean, I'm just, and I guess again, I know Buddy had a question about it, and I just want to know, is there an opportunity, and I don't know if this is you or if it's parish attorney, that we can develop an ordinance that would be relative to a particular area? I know Leanne always tells us we can't cherry pick, but Leanne, is that something that we can? Even though it was the only area that was impacted by the flood, that wouldn't be a justification? I'm not an attorney, but you know, I like to pretend sometimes.
Leanne, you want to come up or?
At least you're getting her exercise, though. Not that you need it, Leanne, so.
If we had a defined area that was impacted by the flood, and basically that is kind of what the previous ordinance did, if you
Right.
were in an impacted area, and we can grant this waiver in an impacted area, and then we just have to work out the mechanism to determine the impacted area.
GIS mapping.
So we can do that just in terms of impacted area as opposed to
Yes.
East Baton Rouge Parish overall.
Right, but what we can't do is just say, well, this only applies in Broadmoor, or,
Right.
you know, this only applies in this neighborhood, or it doesn't apply in this neighborhood. But you can use a characterization like flood impacted area.
Okay. Matt, you okay with that?
If I could jump in just for a quick second to tag on this, how, even, you mentioned Broadmoor. What if a portion of Broadmoor didn't flood, but a portion did? How are we going to determine this?
That's why
Who
we
is
don't
gonna-
say Broadmoor.
I got you, but.
You just say
but
impacted area.
Impacted area, who's going to be most of the time when people call them for a complaint, at the time of the complaint, they're calling the police. Are the police going to have this information when they go out to a site?
These aren't, they call the 311 system, and these.
Not, a lot of times I've seen where they just straight up call the
Right,
police
and they
because
can call
just
the
like a loud
police.
party next door, they would call a noise complaint.
Right. We would have to work something out so that they would be aware of the, we do have the mapping,
Mhm.
and we would have to do something to make sure that they were aware of where the waiver is in place and where it is not.
Okay.
Tyra's your
Okay.
time going towards what Matt, because Matt's.
Yeah,
You
that's,
can get time.
that's cool. No, we're good.
I'm just trying to
I want to give opportunity for that to be talked about. So are you cool with that, Matt, for the verbiage of the impacted areas?
I don't know how you're going to be able to do it, make it work in an efficient manner that you're not going to eventually have people who are outside of an area and inside of an area, and that the person who's on the ground going to address the violation or the not violation just say, I don't understand the difference, and it's so close. What if you're on the border, things of that nature? I just need to see how it's written.
Okay, because I mean, just like Buddy mentioned, I think we got that GIS mapping system that adequately assures us of what areas were impacted by the flood. And I think if we're able to say, if you're in this area that's impacted by the flood, if you're in there, you're in there. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of like our council districts. It's
Mhm.
not fair, but down the street, it could be
Sure.
one side is your district and one side is mine. But
I am
Councilwoman, you got a few more seconds. You want
Okay.
your time, or you want to get
Just to
back in?
answer her, I'm completely open to that discussion to see how this would work.
okay, cool. Thank you.
Councilwoman Green.
Council members, I actually represent the district of the impacted areas that were in my district. We're the second largest district that was impacted. And so the conversations and the discussions about people working on their houses, when my district, every neighborhood, someone is working on their homes, I have not experienced one complaint because everybody wants the opportunity to get back into their home. And from personal experience, my contractor would go there at 6 in the morning, and that's the best time for me to get him there, to see him working. And most of the individuals, constituents, are dealing with issues of seeing their contractors there, and they have to get to work. So the best time for them to see their contractors at work is anytime before 8 o'clock a.m. So I understand and I sympathize with those who are having to deal with individuals that are abusing construction time, but I have to support this measure because I know that my district really needs to have the opportunity to deal with construction at different times of the day. And no one is complaining in my area because they're trying to get back. So let's keep that in mind. We're considering our vote today.
Councilwoman Banks?
Yeah, I concur with Councilwoman Green. I think the ordinance is fine as it is. When I think about inconvenience, I think about the Alson community, which were inconvenienced by having all the debris, and they're still suffering from that with smells that are gone as far as Baker. But that is the part of what happens when you have a disaster. Life becomes uncomfortable, and there are persons who aren't directly affected that have to kind of have a secondary discomfort as well. I think that 6 o'clock a.m., I don't know if there's any timeline that you've indicated, but I think 6 o'clock for sure is not too early for anyone to begin working on their home. I think about the fact that we're already short law enforcement officers, and that's who would enforce this. In my community, I mean, we call somebody for a noise audience, no one shows up. When there are cars parked parallel on streets, I've actually gone as far as spoken with the parish attorney, and you know, I'll have everything, but they're trying to get the police to enforce those things when there are other issues that they see as greater issues. It's not working. So I think we shouldn't try to micromanage recovery, if you will. And I think that anyone who for 6 months and they are in their home and there's somebody struggling to get in their home and they complain about that is somewhat insensitive. So I understand whatever Councilman Watson wants to do, but I think this is not an unreasonable request in that we are a year after and people still trying to recover, and we're asking for 6 months, and that number will continue to go down during that 6 month period.
Councilman Hudson?
Leanne, I'm just curious, with the current waiver, when does it expire? You don't have to get up here. Just tell me. I'll repeat it for you. I'm just worried if we don't pass this tonight, what happens? Does the current waiver expire?
Expires August 8th, and that's what so if we don't adopt it tonight, there will be a gap.
One day maybe,
Right.
gap, okay. I'm okay either way. I get not wanting to nitpick it. I don't think it's going to impact that many people if we do it just the blanket way it's written now. But I will tell you, I represent a district where 5,300 or so structures were flooded. In most of those neighborhoods, they don't care when you start construction. You can start at 4 a.m. They get it. Everybody wants to get back in their houses. But if you're over in Lake at White Oak and your neighbor starts doing a roofing project at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., then it becomes a problem for you. So I get the why the hardship part of it may be needed. So I'm okay either way, but let's just make sure we get this thing done tonight.
Councilman Ambrose?
Yeah, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we accept this as written, but we put in there that is only concerning the affected area as defined by the GIS flood maps of East Baton Rouge.
Okay, it's a substitute motion. Is there a second to the substitute motion? Second by Hudson. Okay, Councilmember Wicker.
I'll just say this. I don't ever want to be looked upon as doing anything that would harm anyone that's trying to get back into their homes. And so, I'm fine. The only thing that I ask is that we have a real understanding, because we do have an entire parish to consider throughout this entire process. And I get that we all need to have consideration. And I think that just goes both ways. So I'm going to vote for it. Matt requested that it goes as is. We'll deal with those issues. I do want to send notice, though, to our DPW department and to our police department that as those of us who have individuals that are calling when we have contractors that are taking advantage of the opportunity to do things outside of the norm, that y'all please come and respond to us, because we do have an obligation to those citizens as well to make sure that their quality of life is maintained and people are not allowed to take advantage of a system just because it's available as a result of a disaster. So I'm fine, man.
I'll withdraw my motion, substitute motion.
Okay, Councilman Russell withdrawing his substitute motion. You withdrawing your second, Councilman Hudson. Okay, so the motion on the floor is the original motion by Watson, second by Freiberg. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 102 is approved. Council members, we're going to take items 103, 104, and 105 together. Item 103, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel decision and order recorded on June 1, 2017, the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus the estate of Harry Dixon. Item 104, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel decision and order recorded by October 4, 2016, in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Willie Lawrence Pitcher by Councilwoman Freiberg. Item 105, rescinding and canceling the decision or issued on May 10, 2017, in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Sanford Williams by Councilwoman Tyra Wicker. Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing wants to speak on items 103, 104, and 105. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Amoroso, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, items 103, 104, 105 have been approved. Item 106, designating Jones Creek Road as part of the Purple Heart Trail in Louisiana, directing the Director of Department of Transportation to erect signs at appropriate locations by Councilman Buddy Amoroso.
Yeah, August 7th is National Purple Heart Day. Our mayor has graciously agreed to make a proclamation for proclaiming that week as Purple Heart Week. I'd like to go ahead and defer this until August 9th, and I think it'd be more appropriate to do it at that time, and hopefully we'll have people from the Purple Heart Association that will be there at that time. Okay. So I make the motion to defer
let me
this.
open the public hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing, we should speak on item 106. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. There's a motion to defer by Councilman Amoroso to August 9th. There's second by Hudson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 106 has been deferred to August 9th. Item 107, a resolution to declare lots along Stanicola and Veterans Memorial Boulevard surplus property and to publicly bid for sale, and the authorization for the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute any and all necessary documents in connection with the sale of said property by the interim aviation director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing in which to speak on the item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by the chair, second by Freiberg. Is there any objections? Seeing none, item 107 has been approved. Item 108, authorization for the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute a lease agreement with JMR Enterprises LLC to lease approximately 8 acres of land for a mutually agreed primary term of 10 years and with 2 10-year options to renew at a rental rate of $4,646.40 by the interim aviation director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, a motion. Motion by Freiberg, second by Hudson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 108 has been approved. Item 109, authorization of the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Greater Baton Rouge Airport District and Regional Transit Authority for the storage of buses in the event of an emergency during the 2017-2018 hurricane season at a rental rate of $250 per day by the interim aviation director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing and wish to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, their motion. Motion by the chair, second by Watson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item carries. Item 110, council members, making sure we got enough folks in here. You keeping track? Item 110, authorization for the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute a consent assignment of the lease agreement from Legal Air LLC to Williams Jet Center LLC to assume all rights and interests of the property currently designated as Legal Air lease site by the interim aviation director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing in which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Hudson, second by the chair. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 1010 has been approved. Item 111, authorize the Mayor President Anori Brosco to execute a contract with Baton Associates LLC for engineering services for the upgrade of PS 228 for a fee not to exceed $46,633.27 by Environmental Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by the chair, second by Wicker. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 111 has been approved. Item 112, authorize the Mayor President to apply for and accept a grant on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services from the Administration for Children and Families Office and Head Start in the amount of $10,096 to provide a cost of living adjustment to support the East Baton Rouge Parish Early Head Start Grant for budget period 1/1/2017 through 12/31/2017 for services to 72 infants and toddlers and pregnant women, and authorizing the execution of all documents in connection therewith by Human Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Freiberg, second by Amorosa. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 112 has been approved. Item 113, authorizing the Mayor President to apply for and accept grant on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services from the Administration for Children and Family Offices of Head Start, an amount of $99,898 to provide for a cost of living adjustment, support the East Baton Rouge Parish Head Start grant for services of 1,502 children and families by the Human Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, their motion. Motion by Freiberg, second by Amorosa. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 113 has been approved. Item 114, authorizing Mayor President on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services, Offices of Social Services, STEP program to amend a contract with J. Kohler in the amount of not to exceed $25,961.55 for the contract period March 1, 2017 to September 30th, 2017, and authorizing the execution of all documents in connection therewith by Human Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Cole, second by Green. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 114 is approved. Item 115, amending Title 4-E, the reimbursement fund budget, so as to appropriate $100,298.80 received from the State Office of Juvenile Justice, representing reimbursements for certain expenditures eligible under the Federal Foster Care Reimbursement Program. These funds will be used for needs for the Department of Juvenile Services by the Juvenile Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, their motion. Motion by Freiberg, second by Hudson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 115 has been approved. Item 116, authorizing Mayor President on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services, Offices of Social Services, STEP program to amend a contract of Christopher Huddleston in the amount not to exceed $20,192.25 for the contract period of March 1, 2017 to September 30th, 2017, and authorizing the execution of all documents in connection therewith by the Human Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone should speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Cole, second by the chair. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 116 has been approved. Item 117, authorizing Mayor President to enter a 3-year contractual agreement with period for the July of 2017 through June 30, 2020 on behalf of the Department of Juvenile Services with the State of Louisiana of Juvenile Justice in the amount of $501,371.61 to sign all documents as required in connection therewith by Juvenile Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Freiberg, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 117 is carried. Item 118, authorizing the Mayor President on behalf of the Division of Human Development Services, Office of Social Services, STEP program to amend a contract with Marvin Anderson in the amount not to exceed $20,192.25 for the contract period of March 1, 2017 to September 30th, 2017, and authorizing the execution of all documents in connection therewith by Human Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by the chair, second by Amoroso. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 118 is carried. Item 119, terminating the existing consulting and design service agreement with TME LLC for the Baton Rouge City Hall generator installation project, and authorizing the mayor president to execute a notice of termination on any other documents necessary to effectuate the said termination by Buildings and Grounds Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Hudson, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 119 has been approved. Item 120, authorize the mayor president to execute professional service agreement with Southern University Law Center for legal and other services related to the Hope Zone Community Project in an amount not to exceed $70,000 by the mayor president. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Councilman Wicker, motion to approve, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 120 has carried. Item 121, awarding the contract for biosolids handling services from the North and South wastewater treatment plants to the selected contractor Red Hawk Environmental Services, LLC, and directing the execution of the contract covering such work by Environmental Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Hudson, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 121 is carried. Item 122, authorize the mayor president to enter an agreement to accept the Grove Boulevard and Bridge crossing Wards Creek, which includes a public drainage servitude upon completion in accordance with the city parish specification by Transportation and Drainage Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, are motion? Motion by Amorosa, second by Green. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 122 is carried. Item 123, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel the decision and order recorded on February 17, 2017 at original and in the matter of City Baton Rouge versus Thomas Lee Dangerfield, Sandrea Dangerfield Moses, and the estate of Joanna Hampton Green by Councilwoman Tara Wicker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Wicker, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 123 is carried. Item 124, authorizing the mayor president to execute a contract between the city of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge, Local Workforce Development Area 21 and Urban League of Louisiana by the Human Services Director. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by Cole, second by Wicker. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 124 is carried. Item 125, authorizing the mayor president to execute an amendment to the cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, and the East Baton Rouge Council on Aging for the use and the right of occupancy of the property of the East Baton Rouge Council on Aging, Inc. by office of the mayor president. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, Councilman Watson.
I just want to say what wasn't included in this item, that I've gotten numerous text messages from constituents asking me where this property is. I confirmed with Rowdy that it's 1701 Main Street, and that it adds the addition of collecting the rent in the cooperative endeavor agreement with the Council on Aging. Am I correct? $3,500 a month. Just giving the information to my constituents before we vote on this. They've been asking me what this is since there was no address included in the agenda item.
Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Cole, there's second. Second by Green. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 125 is carried. Item 126, authorizing the mayor president to execute a home investment partnerships program agreement between the city of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, and Urban Restoration Enhancement Corporation to execute subsequent loan agreements as approved by the Contracts Review Committee, providing for a home investment partnerships program loan of up to $216,000 to assist with the development of a new rental housing reserved for low-income tenants by the Urban Development Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing in which to speak on this item. Seeing none, Public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Green, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 126 is carried. Item 127, authorizing the settlement of the claim of State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company as a subrogate of Lindsay Ann Carlino for damages resulting from an automobile accident in the amount of $14,985.02 by the parish attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone should speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, motion by the chair. There's second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 127 has been approved. Item 128, authorizing Mayor President and/or Brosco to execute a supplemental agreement number 2 with the CDM Smith, Inc. with sub-consultants in association with the King Engineering Associates for engineering services during construction in a connection with the North Wastewater Treatment Plant Master Plan for the amount not to exceed $782,250 by the Environmental Services Director. Council members, we need to change. It's not the supplemental agreement number 2. It's going to be supplemental agreement number 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. We should speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, is there a motion? Motion by Watson, second by Hudson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 128 has been approved. Item 129, authorizing the Mayor President to execute a traffic signal maintenance agreement with Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that provides maintenance and operations for traffic signal systems by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, a motion. You need to speak, Councilman Amoroso?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Which I'll be more than happy to make that motion. Well, I'll go ahead and make that motion. But, Mr. Rayford, I have a question.
Yes.
When we do these agreements for the state, now this is just for the state traffic signals, if I'm correct?
That's correct.
Do we have the rights to these traffic? Because I understand that we don't have the rights to the traditional light poles that Energy does or DEMCO does. Do we have the right to be able to put our sensors on the state traffic signals?
But because of the maintenance, we probably would not. We'd have to get a cooperative endeavor agreement to do so. I would not expect that to be a problem. We're already maintaining a bunch of their signals, but it would probably have to go through that process so that we'll be in compliance with all the federal statutes that require when these signals are purchased sometime with federal dollars. So we would probably have to get some type of agreement to allow that, sir.
Would you have any problem with trying to work on?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, I would like to see, because I think the future will be the
Part
sensors.
of this
yeah.
overall plan that we're looking at will require some of those changes anyway. in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'd like to make that motion.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Freiberg, real quick.
I had a question, looking at the backup. You pay over $2,000 per signal. Now, is that for a new signal? Is that, or is that just to maintain a signal?
We don't pay anything. They pay us. So for
But they-
these agreements, for the maintenance of
So-
those signals.
Just to maintain a signal?
Well, if you look at the technology and what's in those boxes and the changes they're making, quite frankly, in my opinion, if you ask my traffic people, they probably would say we need to be paid more. But what the council needs to know is that we work in agreement with them. Certainly, we would like to see more money, but in the real world, they have the same funding issues that we do. So we try to work as a partner to try to keep them running, keep them functioning. And then when we want to go replace signals, the state's always been a real big partner in helping seek federal dollars to do those replacements. So the dollar amount, no ma'am, it's, in our opinion, it'd probably be more, but there again, we have to do what needs to be done. Just like many things that we have around that we'd like to have more money, but it's not available.
Okay, got a motion by Amoroso, second by Watson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 129 has been approved. Item 130, authorize the Mayor President to submit the Action Plan 2017 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investments and Partnerships, Housing Opportunities for the People with AIDS, and Emergency Solution Grants programs totaling approximately $6,716,591 plus $725,000 estimated program income. Authorize the Mayor President to execute grant agreements for the Action Plan 2017 and authorizing the mayor president or urban development director to execute related community development contracts by community development director. Council members, this is contingent on a budget supplement being signed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. I want you to speak on item 130. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members need a motion. Motion by Cole, second by the chair. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 130 has been approved. Council members, we're going to take item 131 and 132 together. Item 131, a resolution appointing a representative of the parish of East Baton Rouge and City of Baton Rouge to the Board of Directors of the Louisiana Local Government, Environmental Facilities, and Community Development Authority by the Bond Council. Item 132, a resolution appointing a representative of the East Baton Rouge Sewage Commission to the Board of Directors of the Louisiana Local Government, Environmental Facilities, and Community Development Authority by the Bond Council. Council members, there's been a request to defer this to the August 23rd meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members need a motion to defer to August 23rd. Motion by the chair, second by Freiberg. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 131 and 132 have been deferred to August 23rd. Council members, I need to make a motion to reconsider item 91. Motion by the chair. There's a second. Second by Wicker. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Council members, item 91 and the condemnations was to proceed. We need to change that item 91 to defer for 90 days. So we're going to change to defer item 91 to 90 days. Motion by Wicker, second by the chair. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 91 has been deferred for 90 days. We're going to go back to adjudicated properties.
I'm being nice.
Adjudicated
It's not what I
properties,
wanted. Come on.
page 23. Council members are going to take items 133 through 141 together. Item 133, Lot 7, Square 3. 134, Lot 45, Square 241. Item 135, Lot 90. Item 136, Lot 44 plus Square 8. Item 137, Lot D, Square 36. Item 138, Lot 79A. Item 139, Lot 4, Part Square 275. Item 40, Lot 8, Square 17. And item 141, Lot 43. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. We should speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, there a motion? Motion by the chair, second by Freiberg. Are there any objections? Those items have been adjudicated, properties have been approved. No administrative matters. We go to appointments. Council members, we're going to take items 142 through 146 together because there's been a request to defer to August 23rd, 2017 meeting. I'll go ahead and read them. Item 142, Board of Appeal, concurring in the Mayor President's reappointing or replacing Craig Suviak, whose term expires on November 17, 2016. Item 143, Board of Appeal, concurring in the Mayor President's replacement of Pete Furman. Item 144, Board of Appeal, concurring in the Mayor President's replacement of Marvin Ragland, Jr. Item 145, Board of Appeal, concurring in the Mayor President's replacement of James Clary. Item 146, Board of Appeal, concurring in the Mayor President replacement of Bill McDaniel. Council members, I need a motion to defer these appointments to the August 23rd meeting. Motion by Wicker, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, items 142 through 146 have been deferred. Item 147, Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination of the Federation of Greater Baton Rouge Civic Association. Current ballot is Nancy Curry. Council members, I need a motion to appoint Nancy Curry. Motion by Freiberg, second by Watson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Ms. Curry has been appointed. Item 148, Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination of Louisiana State University. Current ballot is Dennis Mitchell. Council members, I need a motion to appoint Dennis Mitchell. Motion by Freiberg, second by Watson. Mr. Mitchell has been appointed. Item 149, Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination by Bike Baton Rouge. Current ballot is Doug Moore. Council members need a motion to appoint Doug Moore. Motion by Freiberg, second by Watson. Item 150, Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination by the Advocacy Center. Current ballot is Steve Kaufman. Council members need a motion to appoint Mr. Steve Kaufman. Motion by the chair, second by Hudson. Item 151, Complete Street Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination by the Board of the Mayor's Healthy City Initiative by Mr. Jared Himowitz. Council members, I need a motion to appoint Mr. Himowitz. Motion by Cole, second by Freiberg. Mr. Himowitz has been appointed. Item 152, Complete Street Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination of Southern University. Current ballot, Mr. Peter Bro. Need a motion. Motion by Freiberg, second by Watson. Mr. Bro has been appointed. Item 153, Complete Street Citizen Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination by the Baton Rouge Sustainable Transportation Advisory Committee. Current ballot is Mr. Whitney Hoffman Sale. Council members, I need a motion to appoint Ms. Sale. Motion by Cole, second by Watson. Whitney Hoffman Sale has been appointed. Item 154, Complete Street Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to reappoint or replace Eric Dexter, whose term expires July 31, 2017. This is a Metropolitan Council appointment. The current ballot is Eric Dexter. Council members, are there any other nominations from the floor? Seeing none, nominations are closed. Need to appoint Mr. Dexter. Motion by Freiberg, second by Watson. Eric Dexter has been appointed. Item 156, Gas Utility District Number 1. I'm sorry. We'll go to 155. I've skipped over. I apologize. Complete Street Citizens Advisory Committee. One appointment to concur in the nomination of the Baton Rouge Growth Coalition. Council members, we need a motion to defer this item to the August 9th meeting. Motion by Watson, second by Hudson. Any objections? Seeing none, item 155 has been deferred. Item 156 now. Gas Utility District Number 1, Board of Commissioners. Consideration of replacing Tony Causey, who has resigned. This term will expire on February 10th, 2019. Council members, are there any nominations from the floor? I'm going to make the nomination of Mr. Carroll Campbell. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, the floor is closed. Motion to appoint Mr. Carroll Campbell by the chair, second by Hudson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell has been appointed. Go to page 28. Council members are going to take items 157 and 158 together. 157, Sales Tax Street and Road Rehabilitation Program Project, Elm Drive, Brookstown. Item 158, Jones Creek Road. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on this item? These two items, 157 and 158. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Councilwoman Banks.
Just one, if we go back to 156, do the Gas Utility District Number 1 have to live in Zachary? I thought they had to live in Zachary. Number 156.
I think they have to be within the district.
Okay, he does, because I love Cam. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know.
Me too.
Okay.
Members need a motion on item 157, 158 to approve. Motion by the chair, second by Freiberg. Are there any objections? Seeing none, items 157 and 158 have been approved. No final acceptances or acceptance of low bids. Council members, we go to item 159, receiving a 120-day report from Dr. Carlo A. Musso of Correct Health East Baton Rouge, LLC, on the health care delivery of inmates at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison by Councilwoman Banks and Councilwoman Green. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Deferred to August 9th.
Need a motion to defer to the August 9th meeting. Motion by Banks, second by Freiberg. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 159 has been deferred. Item 160, receiving an update from the Baton Rouge Police Chief, should I say Carl Davity, or Interim Police Chief Johnny Dunham, regarding the investigation of Officer Blaine Salamone and Howie Lake II for their involvement in the shooting incident that led to the death of Alton Sterling on July 5th, 2016. by Councilwoman Collins Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing, and we'll speak on this item. We'll have to go to Ms. Robin Mulder. Ms. Robin Mulder, and please let me say this. We're going to have this in a civil manner. Any disruption, or you're out of order, you'll be asked to sit, or you'll be asked to leave.
Tell them how long.
So you have 3 minutes. Ms. Mulder, you go ahead, please.
My name is Janet Mulder, Mrs. Robin Mulder, 9265 Bermuda Avenue. I haven't heard the report yet. However, my concern is with Officer, and I'm going to say this wrong, Salamoni. My knowledge is that he was involved in something on Earth Day where he took a young 16-year-old down to the ground in a violent manner, and there's a lawsuit against him. Given that he has obviously things in the background, I am somewhat amazed that we would be going a year and still deciding whether he's acceptable as far as a police officer in East Baton Rouge Parish. I also am somewhat amazed that other public servants, I can't believe, would be a year later and we're still paying them. If there is any type of talk in this parish about people being on the public dole, I would suggest that these two are definitely on the public dole, and I wish that somebody would say enough is enough and let them go. And if it turns out that they were let go inappropriately, okay, fine, bring them back. But enough of this. Thanks.
Mr. Gary Chambers.
So, first of all, no other agenda item was anybody told that if you say something out of line, you're going to be put out of here or conducted the right way. So as soon as this subject came up, we got a little bias immediately. I want to point that out.
Well, if you just get on the topic of the...
That is the topic. That's the topic because it started at the beginning of this. That's number one. Number two, this council, Councilman Hudson walked out, Councilman Amoroso walked out. And this should be the most critical thing we talk about in this community tonight. Because a year ago, the nation began looking at this city because a man got killed by the police department. When previously a man was killed by the police, there were not protests. You know why? He shot at cops. So the community didn't rise up in that incident. But what we saw in the video on this incident was something that was heinous, and it has not been dealt with. The council has the ability to send a resolution to the Attorney General's office that we go ahead and get this investigation concluded as quickly as possible. The feds have already done their investigation. I guarantee you that Jeff Landry and the state police don't have more resources than the United States government. So there's nothing that Jeff Landry is going to find out in his investigation that the feds didn't find out. He's really reviewing the information that was given to him by the feds. And what should happen in this situation is the Metro Council should encourage and implore the Attorney General to hurry up his investigation, because every day that this continues to prolong, our community cannot begin to heal. How many captains and police officers within the department have seen the video footage? I suggest that each council member, I was allowed to sit in a DOJ briefing where we were giving specific events that happened that day, read from the transcripts. I suggest that each council member get briefed by the DOJ to be fully aware of what's going on. And this should be resolved before the mayor appoints a permanent chief. Because whoever the next chief is, they should not be dealing with the sins of the previous administration. Chief Dunham is going to be in here in the interim capacity, but he is a part of this department and has been there. He has the capacity to lead through this time frame, but the next chief of police should not be dealing with this, and that should be important for everybody in here, from the mayor
on down to the lowest person in city parish government, that we get this thing together and we move forward. Because the longer that it stays in limbo, you're going to keep seeing us coming down here. We're going to continue to disrupt. We're going to continue to have conversations about things you don't want to talk about. And we're going to continue to demand justice for Alton Sterling, because at the end of the day, on July the 5th, 2016, a man got killed in this community, and nobody apologized for his murder.
Next, Ms. Vita Sterling.
Hello. My name is Vita Sterling.
Please give your name and address for the record, please.
What do you need?
Name and address for your record, please.
Vita Washington Abu Saleh, 1255 West Roosevelt, apartment 805.
Thank you.
That's it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Vita Sterling. We've come down here so many times. It's sad that you all would play with my family like we are nothing, like we don't even matter. But I come to serve your notice today that we serve a true and living God. And every one of you sitting up there saying that these police officers are not guilty, guess what? You're going to be punished just like them. They have police officers that's been murdered because you sat there and did nothing when you should have done what was right. In the sight of God, don't worry about man. In the sight of God, you should have done what was right. Instead, you hid your hands, throw rocks and hide your hands. That's what was done. And police officers lost their lives. Not only did my nephew get murdered, but other people got murdered too, because you sat there and did nothing. And it's very sad. I'm ashamed to say that I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I say I live in Minnesota. That's where I'm from. That's all I have for you.
Mr. Dion Fountain. Dion Fountain. Crystal Muhammad. If you please give your name and address for the record, please.
Black Power, Crystal Muhammad.
Your name and address for the record.
Crystal Muhammad. I reside in the United States of America. I'm a
You have
citizen
an address?
of
Could you please give us
Baton
address?
Rouge. My address has been compromised already by the advocate. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. My family has been in Louisiana since there's been a Louisiana. I'm a resident of Louisiana. And my family has been in Louisiana for hundreds of years. I was born here. I was attacked by the Baton Rouge Police Department 3 times for speaking out for justice. Last time my wrist was sprained. I still have scab wounds, taser marks. I was shot when walking up to file a public complaint. This police chief resigning is only putting a Band-Aid on the cancer. That's like rubbing alcohol on the tumor. You have a problem with corruption and racism and systemic racism in the Baton Rouge Police Department, and it's being affirmed by your lack of putting down authority and upholding public safety. This is a public safety violation issue. You should have no funding for anything as a city government when you allow murderers, cold-blooded murderers, to assassinate a person in broad daylight. To fire the police chief or for the police chief resign is not good enough. That's like I work at Walmart, I steal something and my manager get fired and I still work there. What needs to be done is Blaine Salamone, who are employees of the city, Howie Lake, they need to be fired, and they need to have their, and Salamone is working on detail while he's on paid leave. That's criminal. We do know that's taking place. You are letting crimes take place by letting murderers on the force, continue being on the force. Is a violation of public safety, is a violation of your oath of office. Blaine Salamone and Howie Lake violated their oath of office as sworn public servants. So that contract, whatever they have on the board, they need to be fired and sanctioned. The department needs to be sanctioned because you're collaborating and conspirators in the cover-up of a murder. And your lack of standing up to it, you are compliant. You're going down in history. Each one of you, Welch, Banks, Lupe, Green, Collins, Wilson, Public Code, all of y'all are going down in the annals of history of being compliant with a cold-blooded murder, and you're trying to uphold modern-day Dred Scott and black code. What you're trying to say, what you president you're trying to set now is to say that a black man can be murdered and nobody cares about it. And that the police are held below the law when they should be held higher standard of law because they are trained to kill and they kill. If I was a boxer and I fought somebody, I'll get higher charges because I'm a trained professional. These are trained professionals operating as mercenaries because on July the 5th, They told us the police department was private property. We walked up an open driveway to go file a complaint, and we were attacked,
10
tased,
seconds. You
and
please wrap it
violated.
up.
We need justice, or all of y'all need to be recalled or put out of office for not standing up when it's time to stand up.
Thank you.
Black
ma'am.
power.
Thank you. Maya Richardson. Is your
Myra
name
Richardson,
and address?
433 East Maryvale Court. I'm pretty super well acquainted with this room. I'm a little bit too well acquainted for an 18-year-old. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that many 18-year-olds in this room, which is kind of sad because that means we're not civically engaged. But I think the worst part of that is, why would you want to be? When I sit here, and I don't really want to get on the bandwagon and blame you all in here specifically right now, because there are higher powers that we have to hold responsible as well, even though you like all, play a role as well, because you each as a body, can do something about it, but you're not, because, you want to get reelected or you want to move to higher places, and I totally understand that, but I guess there's some morality we must look at. So I think we should expose some real truths about some people on this Metro Council and your parts in this. Like, for example, Wilson.
We're talking about Alton Sterling.
Right,
Okay.
Alton Sterling,
Okay.
and how we don't have transparency. But that's what this entire city needs, is transparency. So one more time, back to you, Mr. Wilson.
We're not talking about me. We're talking about Alton Sterling.
Okay. But Mr. Wilson, one more time, you, Mayor Tempero, we have tried to talk about this occasion on numerous. If you look on the paper, it said it was divert twice. Twice. He lost his life only once. You only live once. I only have one life. You do too. But word on the street is.
I'm going to ask you one more time to please stay on the subject, or you can sit down.
Are they gonna carry us out again?
Yeah, you could please sit down when we go to the next speaker.
Okay, anyways, back to the topic. So, you as our Mayor Tempero sat here. I actually also think one of our action steps is that we should get a new Mayor Tempero. I think that'd be a great idea. Moreover, one that doesn't sleep with our, what's her, city council parish lawyer.
Please take her out.
Oops.
Next is Raydell Norman.
All right, y'all doing? Riddell Norman, 225 Greenwell Street. I'm here today speaking of the lack of response of the interim chief of police. Since he has assumed this position, he needs to come out and speak on it, irregardless of how long he's going to hold the office. When you're in this type of office, you need to speak on it, as well as, several members of hierarchy in the government. So my issue today is what is going to happen since we have this new regime in office. Are they going to be held accountable? Will they do what the mayor wants them to do? Or will they be on their own mission and their own agenda while they're in office? So my question today is what's going to happen now that we have a new chief of police? That's by default. Basically, he was going to retire anyway. So what is the council going to do specifically to hold the new chief accountable in his interim status? And what's going to happen on this job search when we're looking for a new chief of police? Because we all need to be a part of this search. This needs to be a citywide in participation with this. And we have gone far too long where we choose officials like this and the city has no hand in it. So what I'm asking the council to do today is hold these people accountable that's getting in office. We have a chance to put a chief of police in office that we feel as though he can do something. Why don't y'all step up to the plate and get some kind of legislation together to where there can be some kind of citizen review committee for the hiring of this chief? Because we want a people's champion, which is probably not going to happen anyway, but at least lie to us. At least give us something that we can at least hang our hat on that let us know that the police system is trying. So I doubt that will happen, but I would ask that y'all would let the city be involved in this process. We asked for it, at least appease us and let us participate in this.
Next, Ms. Sandra Sterling.
My name is Sandra Sterling. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I want to say that this has been a long, drawn-out situation. I found an information that Blaine Solomon is working at the Whitney National Bank, not as one of the police officers, but as the administrator, to send the police officers out. I don't think that's fair. We've been going through this stuff so long. I don't understand. I don't think that you know how bad this is on our family. Y'all caused us tremendously pain. We haven't even had time to grieve yet because of Alton's murder. I can only imagine that those police officers see him in their dreams every night because of what they did to him. I want those videos released. We've been keeping the peace. It's been us, not the police officers. It's been us, our mouths, telling people to be peaceful and keep the peace. We're not like those other cities who burned their city down before the decision came down. We've been asking these people to keep peace. But here a year later, we want to be quiet and let you do your jobs because we're not getting paid to tell them to be quiet. So it's your job to keep the peace now. We've done all we could do for a whole year. As you can see, I'm not crying anymore because now I'm getting a little bit stronger every day. And we want to fight this thing. We want to do it the right way. These police officers need to be held accountable for what they did. They murdered a man, and we saw it. When those videos are released, which is a total of 6, it's going to cause pandemonium on your city. You know, and if you notice, I didn't say my city because I lost hope on July the 5th when I saw Alton land on that ground. I lost all hope because nothing has happened since that day. But what we did do is we kept the peace like we was asked to do. So we're still looking for justice for Alton Sterling. I've also heard that people say that what was told to me that they don't want to talk to us anymore because a lawsuit was filed. The kids' mothers filed the lawsuit, not the Sterling clan. We didn't file anything, and we've been abused because, like the Black Panthers, we also was at the police station to make a statement. Me and my sister was on the front line, and when they came and they hurt us bad to say that we are females, we decided I decided not to protest anymore because I don't want to die. Like Alton was fighting for his life, I'm doing the same thing because I want to live. And one of the reasons I want to live is to fight for justice for Alton Sterling. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Please no speaking out. Please. Mr. Arthur Reed.
I don't even know where to start with you at. But let me tell you this. It has been a disgrace the way this council has passed this amendment up. It has been a disgrace the way you have treated the Sterling family. And while you look at this as officers, let me tell you this, because I'm going to tell you to your face. When the Ku Klux Klan infiltrate law enforcement and act like officers, they become the damn Blue Klux Klan with a license to kill. We are not dumb. We understand. When you look back at Ellsbury, you fired him for conduct unbecoming of an officer for sending a racist text. The chief of police said, it just made me sick in my stomach when I seen that text. How in the hell can he see a police officer put a gun to a man's head, threatening him, kill him, and don't be sick to his stomach? This is sickening. God sent me here to piss on your Confederacy.
Watch it.
And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I stand strong. Wilson, you are a disgrace to the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
It's going Alton Sterling.
I'm talking about Alton Sterling because you have passed him up 2 times. And you sit up there arrogant. But God is going to kill all you damn devils, not us.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members. Interim.
To begin with, the internal affairs investigation. This is, I guess, an update. You want to request on requesting an update on the internal affairs investigation. The actual administrative investigation, the internal affairs investigation, by law, has to be complete within 60 days. There is the fact that these officers are alleged to have committed a violation of laws, there is a criminal investigation as well that is done. That criminal investigation is being held or being conducted by the Louisiana Attorney General's office. For us to be able to discipline officers for that violation of laws, we are required to wait for that criminal investigation to be complete. Once that criminal investigation is complete, I'll have all of the information available. If it is during my tenure, I'll have all that information available, and I will go through every bit of the criminal investigation as well as the administrative investigation and make a determination on what happens with Howie Lake and with Officer Blaine Salamone. So, but right now, I can't really discuss the details of that administrative investigation because it is considered still pending because there has not been a pre-disciplinary hearing or a possible pre-termination hearing. So that's where we're at right now. We are waiting for the criminal investigation to be complete.
Councilwoman Banks. You get your mic on, please, Councilwoman.
Officer involved shootings and some other discipline. And basically what I read was that the reason it's automatic that an officer is put on administrative leave when there's an officer involved shooting. But that the reason they're put on administrative leave is for an internal investigation to conclude, as you said, within 60 days. So even before it even got to the DOJ, which may have been within a week, the internal investigation should have already commenced.
Well, the internal investigation itself is complete, but because of the violation of laws as being one of the allegations against the officer, we have to have a complete criminal investigation as well. Okay. I can't draw up a disciplinary letter without having all the evidence to prove that case in front of the Civil Service Board. So once that criminal case is complete and I have all the evidence, if the officers are indicted or if they are arrested or indicted, then determination would be immediate.
So let me be clear. So what you're saying is that there was an internal investigation did begin.
Yes.
And it has concluded.
The investigatory part of the investigation for administrative charges
based on policy and procedures
and procedures is completed, but the problem is that there is a violation of laws complaint in that administrative investigation, which has to be proven from the criminal part. So once the criminal investigation is complete, and I will only there's only going to be one bite at that apple at Civil Service. So any allegations of criminal misconduct will have to be added into that pre-disciplinary letter or that disciplinary action.
So
letter.
When you say administrative investigation, that's the department?
That's the department.
All right. So the other thing, I had spoken with the Attorney General's office, and so first of all, from what I understand, the DOJ investigation was based on whether or not the civil rights for Alton Sterling were compromised.
Right.
The Attorney General is based on the criminal investigation, and the internal affairs is based on the breaking of the policies and procedures within the BRPD.
Right, which one of those policies is a violation of law.
Okay, so I didn't know that part. So, because when I spoke with the Attorney General, I asked him, was there anything preventing the police department from investigating and concluding and taking action? And what they told me is that there was nothing that was preventing you all from doing that, that all of them were separate. They could be done concurrently or, one after the other.
No, that's wrong.
Because
I
thought they were so clear, I never.
No, because at Civil Service, you have to put in that disciplinary letter all of, proof of all of the allegations you're claiming. And like I said, one of those allegations is a violation of laws. There may be a conduct unbecoming allegation. There may be other policy allegations, but one of those is violations of laws, and that's the most severe allegation. And so for us to be able to put that evidence into that disciplinary letter, we have to wait for the criminal investigation.
One last question. So let's say you have 5 allegations, and you can prove 4 of the 5 absent of the criminal whatever. Why can't they get fired on the 4, and then you say inconclusive or until, and that be added later?
Well, because you can't go back later and add it. And
Well, but if you got 4 good ones, just go ahead and fire them on those.
we don't- the issue with that is that recently we just had a civil service appeal hearing, and it was on a violation of laws case, and those officers stayed on administrative leave for 7 months while the investigation took place. Eventually, they were charged. Those officers were arrested. They were terminated at that point. They filed an appeal after the case went to court, and they were found not guilty. We almost lost that case in civil service because of the fact that there was no violation of laws at that point to prove. The Civil Service Board did uphold it on the other allegations, but we did almost lose that case because of that.
Okay, so I thank you. So I have 9 minutes that I know the pro tem is going to keep me to. 9 seconds. So first of all, to the Sterling family.
You want your additional time, Councilwoman?
Yeah, please. You know, I absolutely believe that as part of our Metro Council and this governing body, there's absolutely no business more important than the public comments. I think that before we sign a contract, authorize anybody, make a resolution, that the priority, especially when we run out of time for one event, the next thing we ought to start with public comments and allowing people to speak. I think that that is absolutely our priority, and I hope that in the future that we'll do some kind of ordinance that actually states that, so it won't be something that we can make a determination on from situations to situation. I do have a greater perspective as to how things, I kind of studied this. I've studied some of the policy and procedures, and you know, I kind of checked off what I thought these officers could be fired on, but I didn't know about the last one, the administrative, what is it called, John? The violation. And you know what? You want to be slow and meticulous than fast and this thing go away. So I absolutely am so sorry about the hardship, the longevity that it's taken. It seems like it goes faster in other cities that we've heard around the country. But, you know, we don't want any mistakes. We want this thing done in a way that we would never hear these 2 names again. I personally believe they should be fired. I've gone on record stating that. It's a horrendous, I think it is an American tragedy what happened to Alton Sterling. And, you know, being the mother of a big black boy, that could have been my son, who, regardless to anything that I could say, just being able to see that over and over again. And I've had a brother murdered. And, you know, we didn't see his body, but I will never forget that we had to clean up the blood on his floor. And so we have to also, you know that there are feelings that are involved in this. And, you know, from the bottom of my heart, you know, I totally sympathize with the Sterling family and all those who can identify with what has happened to Alton Sterling, because today it's the Sterlings, tomorrow it could be the Bankses. And so for that reason, and for all the officers, the Baton Rouge Police Department and sheriff officers who have called me and said, until this situation is settled with Salamone and Howie Lake, we have a target on our back. And so this is not just and you know, everybody want to make it between something the community against the law enforcement officers, but we're trying to help law enforcement officers to feel that they too are not targeted and people don't think that they are all road cops and everything. So I think our community, as soon as this is done, we can move toward a healing process, because we're just stalemate right now. And again, you know, I am so sorry that you had to come 3 times. And we hope that this would, no other family or speakers would have to go through it again. But it's just part of the process. But it is something that we definitely should not ever happen again. Thank y'all so much for sticking with it, though.
Councilwoman Green.
I'm very relieved and I would say happy that we finally reached a day at the council meeting where the community was able to speak on this issue. And even for me, trying to understand what's going on, being a lawyer, it's been difficult understanding everything step by step. But the reason why the community needed to be heard was because the shooting death of Alton Sterling in the black community represents the shooting death of every other black person that has been killed in the United States by law enforcement. And so sometimes we get confused as to why is it important, when in fact it's important because it hits home to, like Councilwoman Banks said, it could be any one of our male family members. And I wanted to say something because Councilwoman Lewis could not be here, and I commend her for putting an agenda item on, if but for just to have the community to say their piece about it. But I also understand that the legislative system where you are today is just that, the legislative system. We have bounds that we can do certain things and what we cannot do. But what we could do is put it on the agenda item and have it heard. It took too many times to come back here. I've talked to different council members and colleagues and a parish attorney on what can we do to make this heard, what's the best option. And I'm happy that today we finally was able to hear it. And I hope that we don't ever end up in a situation where we're deferring, and we can't address some of the business, not only of the city parish financially, but also of the public interest. And there was 2 questions that were asked by Rodell, and so I just want to know if someone from the mayor's office can come forward. I know that there was statement really briefly about what she's going to do to address the chief's replacement, but if there's just a timeline for the community to know, and if there's going to be a citizen review committee.
Yeah, Councilman Green, the timeline is one of, we've already notified the Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board, which we're required to do, and they in turn have to notify the Office of the State Examiner to conduct the examinations for the police chief. There's a 30-day public notice period that has to go out, and so we've begun that process. We've submitted that letter to the Municipal Fire and Police Board, and the mayor her intent is to appoint an advisory committee to assist in the search for that police officer. But we're following the required Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service requirements of filling the position, and we've already started that process.
Okay, thank you. Also, my other question goes to something that Interim Chief Dunham stated, if he can come forward, just for clarity again, regards to the violation of laws complaint and then the disciplinary letter. Does the disciplinary letter come first, or are you using the disciplinary letter after the violation?
We'll use the information from the criminal investigation to add to the disciplinary letter that the officers will receive if, there's evidence.
And the civil service portion of it, you guys are intricately involved in that, or do you give it to the?
No, what will happen is if the officers are disciplined, they will have a right to appeal to the Civil Service Board. At that Civil Service Board, there will be an internal affairs investigator. There will be an attorney that represents the chief, because the chief is the appointing authority who gave or handed down the discipline, and they will basically act as a prosecutor, I guess, and try to help the board understand why the chief made the decision he made for disciplinary purposes, and whether he acted in good faith and for cause for that.
And I know that this is not, it's just an agenda item to receive an update, and so I thank you as well for giving us clarity on the process on how this will go forward from this day. It's a little late, but we're happy that we can now have that discussion. Everyone can be made aware. That concludes my question.
Councilman Cole.
Chief Dunham, congratulations on your interim post. A couple of quick questions. Has the audio and the video been released to the department as of yet?
I believe, I have not personally seen it, but I believe that all of the video, from what I understand, the videos are in the file. Kyle, is that right? All the videos are in that internal affairs investigation.
As a member of this council, is it possible I can see the video through the audio, or hear the audio?
No, sir, not right now.
All right. When that time comes, will you let me know as soon as possible? I'm very interested to hear the audio and see the video for myself. Although as painful as it might be, the video, the images that we saw or have seen for the last year have been painful. I do want to see all of the video and hear all of the audio. I don't know if individuals in this room who are not black men understand what it's like to wake up every day. Long before Alton Sterling or Eric Garner or Philando Castile, and the names go on and on and on, long before that. I don't know if people understand what it's like to wake up every day and wonder, is today going to be the day I die because I'm a male and I'm a black male? We carry that burden every day, and we try to move forward and be polite, be productive, and be positive citizens in our communities, but we still wonder, is today going to be the day? On July 5th, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I got that text message from Sandra Sterling informing me her son had been killed, one of the worst moments of my life, because she and I are friends. We go back about 15 years. And the reality of the situation is I hadn't heard the audio, don't know what the videos are going to suggest, but the reality of the situation is 2 officers were involved in the citizen being killed. And while those officers may not have intended to kill Alton Sterling, they need to be fired at the end of the day. All of us who work in jobs, we make mistakes, we have to suffer the consequences of our actions. And while they may have done some things or could have done some things differently, their actions led to the death of a citizen in our community. And so I too feel strongly those officers should be fired. But ultimately, what I'd like to see us do moving forward is really have some serious conversations about what it feels like to wonder if we're going to be killed. And I know officers feel the same way, because many of my friends are officers, and they feel the exact same way, particularly those who are black officers, because when they're not in uniform, they carry the burden we carry as citizens, and when they are in uniform, they carry a different burden. So we have to start having some very, very candid conversations about what that looks like, how we feel, and how we need to interact with each other to prevent things like this from happening, not only in the city of Baton Rouge, but in our nation. Because today we're talking about Alton. Hopefully tomorrow we won't be talking about me or my brother or any one of the men in this room. And I think it's extremely important that someone from law enforcement stand up and say, mistakes were made, and for those mistakes we apologize to the citizens of Baton Rouge, because we don't want to see anything like that happen to any other citizen. We've not heard that yet, and I think it's important that we do. It doesn't mean that a law enforcement officer is accusing another of doing something wrong, but it does mean that we all recognize mistakes were made, and at no time should loss of life be the end result when we're talking about a routine call from someone who may have provided bad information, is my understanding. And so, again, thank you, and I hope we can continue to work together to look for some positive resolutions for situations like this. And in the future, I hope that we do a much better job of allowing our citizens to be heard on matters like this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Wicker.
Thank you. I just want to, say that, it's really unfortunate that it has taken a tragedy of this sort for our community to have, I think, conversations that are probably needed to happen a long time ago. And we've had a lot of conversations since last year. I know that Baton Rouge will never be the same. We're all trying to get back to, or get to the new normal, whatever that means after last year. But I do want to say this, and I think I remember, and I'm pretty sure that they have, from the mayor's office, requested that the investigation from the AG's office be expedited. I do believe that as council members, closure to me is key. I think that the longer that this issue is open, the longer the wounds take to heal. And so for the sanity of this community as a whole, not to mention the Alton Sterling family, I remember them, it was such a close time from Alton's birthday as well as the anniversary of his death and the balloon release and everything. And I can't imagine just going that length of time just without closure. So if nothing else, it's a council together collectively for the sanity of these families and for this community. I would ask that we do, I don't know, we can't just do something on our own, so it would have to be in a form of some sort of resolution. If it's no more than us for one time speaking in a unified voice, I think all of us agree that we need closure. And so if there's an opportunity for us to express that to the AG's office as a collective body, that we ask them very passionately to work as quickly as possible to bring this issue to closure. I think as a council, to me, that signifies unity. To me, that signifies that we all are moving in the same way, and that we all believe that this needs to bring closure. This needs closure to be brought to this. So I would ask that we consider to do that and move forward in that. And, in the same vein, it broke my heart completely the other day when I was watching the news and I saw Matthew Gerald's wife, not knowing when her husband was killed that she was pregnant with their son. And so, in the room that they put up so that their children could remember the sacrifices that those officers have made. So our community has had a tremendous loss overall. We need to be able to heal in the right way, because if we don't heal in the right way, the thing about a wound, if we cover stuff up and we don't heal in the right way, then ultimately that wound never heals correctly. And I think as a community, we're owed the opportunity to heal in a way that all of us can move forward and be. I'm not going to say happy, because everybody has lost in this year, so happy is not the word, but at least that we can feel like that we have some closure as a community. I also want to just thank, I know Johnny came up and spoke. I want to also just thank Johnny, not just for him showing up yesterday at the meeting, but Johnny has actually been a part of our police policy review group since it started last year, and so he was there last night as well. Council members, we will be coming to present some of the findings that the community had as a result of this. And so again, sort of, if you have to say silver lining, I don't really see a whole lot of silver lining, but at least at the end of the day, we have had conversations in a very diversified way that we ordinarily would not have had. And I just hope that we can come together as a community, request that this process is expedited so that all of us can be able to have some closure. Those families can have a sense of peace in terms of where we're headed as a community and how we've handled this situation. Thank you.
Okay, members, I'll just make a motion to receive the update. Motion by Cole, second by Green. Any objections? Seeing none, we got item 161, receiving a report from EMS 911 Central Communications District Manager regarding a 911 call that dispatched BRPD officers Blaine Salmo and Howie Lake II to Triple S Food Mart and lead the death of Alton Sterling on July 5th, 2016 by Councilwoman Banks. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a public hearing. Wants to speak on this item. Gary Chambers.
For once, Councilwoman Wicker and I agree, and that's a good thing, isn't it? That is a good thing. I do believe the council should take some proactive action. I'm a supporter of Mayor Broom. I voted for, I campaigned for, and I still support the mayor. At the beginning of the meeting today, the mayor was in the room. Right now, she's not. That disappoints me. This is the most critical issue in our community. And I'm going to take some heat for saying that. I'm disappointed that this has taken as many meetings as it has to get to here. And we have got to figure out how to make the right things a priority. And if human life is not the number one priority of those of us who sit here, I've seen conversations go on with Mr. Fred Rayford, and Fred don't know nothing but traffic. So if we talking about traffic while we talking about Alton, our priorities ain't here. This is not important enough to us. But I remember last year when we felt like the city was about to explode, getting text messages from council members in the Republican section. I remember getting phone calls from white folks in Baton Rouge saying, Gary, please don't let them burn nothing down. Don't let them tear nothing up. We can't destroy our city. And we didn't do that. We didn't do that because of some of the very people in this room who you've denied the right to speak, who stood between police and protesters and asked them not to tear gas. So there's audio that we're not going to hear. I already know that they're going to tell us they can't let us hear because of an investigation. But other cities have policies that footage and audio is released immediately. That is full transparency. Full transparency is putting it all out there and let the chips fall where they fall. Because guess what? There would be no reason to protest and no reason to destroy property or people get upset if a man wasn't killed. There would not be outrage in this city if that did not happen. And whether you believe that and this is what I never understand from Republicans. Please help me.
This is really about
this
the
is,
EMS
This is
call.
about EMS and Alton Sterling.
That's right.
This is about EMS and Alton Sterling. And I'm going to say this statement, and you can put me out after I say it if you want to. I cannot understand how you all believe that the police department is flawless. There is no entity with 600 people. We are humans, and humans are flawed by nature. By nature. There's no way you put 600 of us in the room and somebody doesn't mess up sometimes. But we rarely ever discipline police officers in this city. And so if the EMS director is going to tell us that we can't hear something, you guys come up with some ordinances and some laws that make sure that if this happens again, that we don't go through the same type of crisis that we did, because we increase transparency, we increase accountability, and for God's sake, can we hire a chief with the intestinal fortitude to do what is right by the people of this community at all times?
Myra Richardson. Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing wishes to speak on this item.
Krista Borlon, I'm in District 11. It's hard to get up here and speak when it feels like nobody's even going to listen anyway. I've been out at most of the protests, working as an observer, working as a community presence. At one of the particular protests, I and some other community leaders were targeted by a group known as the Oath Keepers. They were taking our pictures. They were following us. They had drones outside of my house for a week. I ran across from the protest line to the police line. I've worked with officers over a decade with human trafficking issues. These are men that I know, that I respect, that I love. And I stood at the town hall and I spoke to Colonel Edmondson and told him how disappointed I was, and I'm not afraid to do it again. I ran and I screamed that I needed help because this man was targeting me. And the back of his vehicle was full of weapons and equipment. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what he was doing. But I felt like I was in danger.
I understand this is about the EMS 911
And Alton
call.
Sterling. And what has happened with that, and how it has been ignored, and how I asked to file a report 3 times and I have been denied. I was told by officers if I didn't want to be targeted, just don't go out there. I felt safe with these people. I felt accepted by them and loved by them and heard by them. I've worked with officers for close to a decade. We worked on training for human trafficking. We got that done. Why can't we get police reform done when it comes to these issues? I've had people come to me just in tears. I'm in tears half the time that I'm talking. Nobody is listening. We haven't had the free speech alleys that we were told we were going to have. We haven't had the community meetings we were told we were going to have. I've sat in a million different meetings with a million different leaders and organizations, including the mayor, including people in here, saying, we'll do this, 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 and none of it has gotten done. I just don't know what you expect people to do at this point. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. This public hearing, anyone wish to speak on this item?
My name is Aaron Banks. I'm from Baton Rouge. Honestly, to hear
about the EMS call, about the call to Alton Sterling, I really think it's pointless. And that's what I come to say. It's pointless because at the end of the day, just from the last agenda that we just spoke on, only the black councilman spoke up. Every one of y'all that's white up here did not want to say anything. You looked around, looked in your phone, I watched you shake your head, stuff like that. So we understand that you all doesn't care. So actually, we up here speaking on this kind of stuff, it really don't matter. It's about power, and power is in charge in the city of Baton Rouge. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying that you're giving off a perception that it's gonna cause more problems, whether we talk about the EMS issue or no disrespect, interim, we should have Chief Dabney speaking on what he just spoke on. He was in office, he was active at that time. So it doesn't make sense what y'all doing right now, and to our eye, it doesn't make sense. So in our eye, we feel like you're playing a game to say, shut up, be quiet, we're gonna give you this so y'all can shut up about it and stop coming up here to these Metro Council meetings and trying to bother us about it. So at the end of the day, I feel like what you're doing and what she's gonna say is pointless. He just said it. We got an investigation going on. That's all I got to say. It's pointless. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's a public hearing. I want you to speak on this item.
Good evening, council people. How y'all doing today? Ecclesiastes 3:17 tells us, I said to myself, God will bring into
We're
judgment
talking about the EMS.
both the righteousness
We're talking about the
and
EMS
the wicked.
call.
For there will be a time for every activity, a time
You can talk
to
about the
judge
EMS.
every deed.
Are you talking about the EMS call, or you need to sit down, please?
I'm getting to it. Hold on just a second. Yes, ma'am. I've never had anybody threaten to throw me out for reading the gospel, but on July 5th, 2016, Alton Sterling was fatally shot. On July 6, 2016, officials released the names of officers. On July 7, 2016, protests erupted across the nation, celebrities and more selected. On August 23rd, 2016, Obama met with the family. On May 2nd, 2017, the DOJ decided not to change the officers, not to charge the officers. On May 10th, 2017, activists were removed from the council meeting, this meeting right here. On July 5th, 2017, 1 year later, and still no justice for the Sterling family. On today, those officers remain on paid administrative leave. Our deeds and our actions will be judged. Your deeds, sir, and your actions will be judged. And you all will have to be held accountable for not hearing the voices of this family, not hearing the voices of the constituents, not hearing the voices of the people that put you in those very seats. So, sir, I've never been more disrespected than standing right in front of you. And, sir, you just disrespected the gospel, so that should tell these people all they need to know. Thank you for your time.
That's fine. Thank you. The public hearing, I want you to speak on this item.
Just because I can, Wilson. Just because I can.
Talking about the EMS call.
The EMS call.
That's what the topic is.
Why you can't release the EMS call? You know, when you talk about EMS and you talk about the police, I want to make myself clear on this. We're not anti-police. We're anti-injustice. And the criminal justice system here in Baton Rouge is exactly that. A justice system that's being ran by a bunch of damn criminals. Every last one of you.
It's about the EMS.
EMS, okay.
Or you can have a seat.
I have a seat when I get ready, Wilson.
No.
So I'm talking about your EMS. We would like to see the call. We would like to hear the call and see what it is, because we don't think a call was made. And when you're dealing with criminals and murderers and you see these type of things going on, you know, when you really look at it, if you ask me, I have sympathy for the Sterling family. But at the end of the day, when you stop somebody from reading the Bible, justice has already been served, an eye for an eye. So justice came when Gavin Long came. Since you always
You need to go to the topic of EMS.
Well, EMS had to go pick up Gavin Long Wilson and take him to the morgue because he actually killed some officers that's at Salamoni's hand. So Salamoni should be charged with the murder of those police officers that was killed, because his action is what got those officers killed.
I ask you to sit down.
So when you look at this, okay, what's the topic? What's the topic?
EMS call.
EMS. So EMS came and picked up Salamone and the police officers that got killed. And when you see this type of action happening in Baton Rouge and you don't want to fairly deal with it, that's when you make us act the way that we're acting. So we need EMS, but we also need you to stop being an unjust counsel and do what's right when it comes down to this matter. That's how we want it. I told you, I come to piss on your Confederacy.
Let him go. It's a public hearing. Anyone wants to speak on this item?
Are you the EMS director? Yeah, I wanted to, it says that we will hear a report from the 911 Center Director and Manager.
And that's what the topic is.
Yes, we would like to hear that report.
Okay.
And we would like to hear the video.
We're having a public hearing.
I'm doing the public hearing. This is my statement. You have a problem with letting black people have free speech.
You're more than welcome
because
to talk,
I'm
but I'm just saying she'll come up after the public hearing is closed.
Okay, I didn't finish my statement. So, the 911 so-called call that allegedly claimed, well, we got false media reports saying that a weapon was found. There was no weapon found. The public has seen the video over and over of Alton being murdered. You have this agenda item 161 on 29 pages. I've been to metropolitan cities 20 times the size of this, and they wouldn't dare filibuster and put this down to the bottom. Number one, this should have been at the top. The 911 call, the body cameras, the Alton Sterling, it shows that you don't care about the black community. I'm speaking particularly to the white council people who are sitting there heartless. You're sitting there deflecting. You're deflecting. Public safety has been violated. Your oath of office has been violated. You are not upholding your own oath of office. You need to be federally overseen just as the city of New Orleans, the city of Newark, because you are not upholding your oath of office. You should be recalled. The EMS director needs to release whatever information to the public. The chief said that the internal affairs investigation should have been out in 60 days. We at 365 days now. It's 300 days past when the internal affairs investigation should have been out. Don't play one set of rules for us, and because she has a Pharaoh skin, even though she was speaking on the same subject, she wasn't accosted or escorted like the young lady in the yellow dress was. It's racism. It's discrimination. These are human rights violations that are going on. Human rights. We have inalienable rights given by God that no councilman, no district attorney, no, attorney general in D.C. or here can override. We have the right to speak. We have the right to address our government for grievance, which we were attacked for attempting to speak by Baton Rouge Police Department. Those officers who attacked us, the EMS officer that was in the jail when they arrested us had on an outfit like he was going to Saudi Arabia, a bulletproof vest, wasting tax dollars. We were tased for speaking. EMS didn't try to help us. This family, this community needs closure now. It shouldn't be filibustered. Don't just talk about it. It needs to be a motion put on the floor for whatever resolution is going to go down to be put on the floor immediately.
Your time is up.
Your time is up in God's eyes and in the public's eyes.
That's fine. Public hearing is... Public hearing, wants to speak on the item.
You even say my name for you again?
If you'd like to, yes, ma'am.
I don't want to.
Well, you need to state your name and address for the record,
That's what
please.
I thought. My name is Vita Sterling, and I wanted to say something about this, the EMS call, supposedly. Now, my sister's back there. Look at them. See, they have a face that you don't understand because we wasn't raised the way y'all was probably raised. Our father and mother didn't raise us to be bigots, racists. When we go to bed at night.
It's about the 911 call, please.
It's about the 911 call.
That's
You're
right.
just not allowing it. When we go to bed at night, Alton's murder still haunt and taunt us. Is that good enough for you? We're still being haunted and taunted. but we have a peace that you'll never know. We have the peace of God, and you will never know that. You are disrespectful bastards. And I pray that you burn in hell for what you've done. Now I'm done. God bless you. You're a bunch of bastards. Black power.
It's a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item?
Say my name again?
Ma'am?
You want me to say my name again?
Yes, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Sandra Sterling, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm going to talk on a 911 call. Well, I got the call at 1:30, and it wasn't from a 911 call. It was from someone, I don't even know who the person was. Speaking on 911 calls, when I had a domestic abuse situation maybe a month ago, I called 911. It took them 2.5 hours to get to me. 911 sucks. Sucks.
Well, please watch your language.
Okay. 911 to me is dishonorable. I would rather die in my grave to call 911 again. I can say that?
Sure.
Okay. I'd rather die than to call them again because they're informative. And I think because I said my name was Sandra Sterling, they didn't come to help me. So I became defenseless. So I had to take care of myself, and I did. This 911 call should have been released immediately in another state where a woman was shot by a black police officer, a Samoan. That 911 call was released within 24 hours. I can't say I'm Baton Rouge anymore because y'all suck. Can't say that. It sucks. And when my sister said we hurting, we really are hurting. We just don't have no more tears, not for this. If I cry today, it's tears of joy. But we still want justice. And we want to hear that 911 tape. Because what we can recognize is voices. If that thing was distorted in any kind of way, we're going to know. But it's just been too long. And you guys know that. No thing takes this long. You know what you want to do already. Let this city heal. Let us heal. Give us justice. That's all we want. Because like my sister said, if that day, if the chief, Dabney, would have put those officers in jail, we wouldn't have had no reason to protest. We would have been waiting. But unfortunately, I wish we had to wait this long. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item?
Good afternoon. Byron Sharp, Vice President, Baton Rouge NAACP, 1520 Thomas Delpit Drive. I wasn't going to come up and say anything, but I had to. And it hurts my heart to live in a community where we have so much division. And as a former councilman, and first of all, I just want to say to you all, I appreciate what you do, because I tell folks you got to sit in those seats and got to walk in y'all's shoes. But when we had the Hurricane Katrina back in 2005, I was on the council, and we had other agencies come in to help our city police, I think New Mexico and some other police department. And those folks said, you know what, things down there are so bad, we got to go back. And I think if the administration and the chief would have addressed those issues then, I think we wouldn't be here. So, you know, and I look at you all, and I see our young council members. Y'all have a great future, but it's all about doing the right thing now. You know, don't be like my former colleagues. Ms. Ty saying,
Byron, we need to talk about the 911 call.
with the 911 call, it needs to be released, because what you want to do, you want to release it, and that way you can have some peace and some transparency. Because like the Sterling family say, until we start being open to the family and this community, we'll never have healing. So with the 911 tape and the video, I think we got to release it. In order for us to heal, people got to see the truth. No matter where it goes, we got to see the truth. The 911, the video, we have to see it. You know, y'all have a chance to do the right thing. Don't be like my colleagues that serve with me. If we did the right thing years ago and did a citizen review panel for the police department and 911 and all those other agencies, I don't think we'd be here. It's all about doing the right thing now. You know, A lot of y'all have grandkids or small kids. I hate for your kids to look back 20, 30 years from now and say, Mom and Papa and Auntie them had the chance to do the right thing for this community. I love Baton Rouge. I ain't planning on going nowhere. You know, I have 2 grandkids myself. But it's all about doing the right thing now. You know, whatever happens, it's going to happen. But in order for us to heal, you all got to do the right thing. Thank you.
Public hearing, wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Councilwoman Banks. You want to come and speak? Stacy? You come up.
I'm here on behalf of the EMS 911 Communications Center. Due to the ongoing investigation, I can't discuss details or release the 911 calls, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Your microphone, Councilwoman.
You need to get Mr. Attorney O'Lynn's lineup of what your processes are.
Okay, I can
and that
talk
is
about it.
what you need to give us.
Okay, so I'm going to describe how we process a 911 call. We answer all the 911 calls for East Baton Rouge Parish. We get the address and phone number of every caller. At that time, we determine if there's an in-progress emergency, which would include injuries and or weapons. At that time, if there's no injuries or weapons, the caller is transferred to the appropriate law enforcement agency, in this case, Baton Rouge City Police. And then we disconnect the line.
Councilwoman Banks, are you on the? You got your mic on, please?
Would you get the email? You remember I went over there and I said, would you bring do you have the email?
Yeah, but the counsel for the communications district, he said I could not discuss any part of the 911 call.
His email did not discuss any part of the email of it. He
And
said,
I just discussed what he said I could
okay,
talk about.
would you go listen to what I'm asking. Bring the email. Give me the copy of the email that he sent. And I hope my time needs to stop until we get this resolved. Right, and that's what he said you were going to be reading. And I told him that was fine. Here you go. No, you're going to read it. Okay.
Councilwoman, your time, I got you on your time.
No, she's doing a report. It's not on my time. That's her.
Okay, well
doing
then
a
let her
report.
do the report and then we can ask
Yeah.
questions. We
Let
can
her
ask
go on and do the
questions.
report.
The details in the email to myself and Ms. Banks are about the Alton Sterling 911 call.
No.
It starts off with how many calls there were and who made
Councilwoman,
the
let her
calls.
please.
I cannot discuss this.
Councilwoman, let her please make her what you. Are you done, Stacy?
There is no cover up. It's part of an ongoing investigation.
Stacey, are you finished? Are you finished? What you had to say?
Give it to me. I mean, if you finish, he's asking, are you finished? I'm not trying to finish you.
Well,
just
I'll
ask
sit
you.
up here. I want to help and I want to answer questions. But the email starts off with how many calls there are. That's specific to the case. I can't discuss details about the 911 calls. So I don't know.
Okay, thank
Due
you.
to the ongoing
Well, she can't-
investigation, I cannot discuss.
Let me just say this. You can give it to me, baby. Let me just say this. First of all, what Attorney O'Lynn and I said, he said, these are the items in which that detail it. He sent it on a public records email, so it's already public. And he said you can give the details, not the processes. That's all that is.
The process is what I
but
just
it-
described. He told me what to say.
Well, that's the problem.
Well,
He
the
told
thing,
me-
no, wait, Councilwoman,
I'll just
Mr.
read
O'Lynn is not here.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
on
so-
vacation.
Okay, well,
Give me
she's here.
Yeah.
And that's her documents.
Okay, so
Well,
he sent it to me though.
But let me say this, please. The document was sent to her.
Okay, that's
So
fine then.
all he did was forward me what he sent her.
Right, you could just give it to me.
So
That's fine. You could just give it to me.
Please,
Y'all
either,
Thank you, Stacey. I think there was a communication thing, so, no. Okay, I could just read this. I don't want to compromise you in any way.
All right, Councilwoman.
Yeah.
Your time is starting. We're going to put you on the clock
All right.
now. She's finished. So if you got a question, answer the question. If you
Okay.
ask her some questions, because we're on the clock.
All right. So this basically says, with respect to your request for a report of the subject 911 calls, the district submits the following in addition to my email on yesterday. There were 2 911 calls from citizens related to Alton Sterling incident. Both calls occurred prior to the incident. In accordance with district policy and protocol, both 911 calls were transferred to the Baton Rouge City Police Department. Once it was determined that the transfers to Baton Rouge Police Department was successful, the district operators disengaged. A copy of the district policy is attached. Audio recordings of the 2 911 calls were subpoenaed by the federal government and produced to the FBI pursuant to the subpoena. It is the district's understanding that federal authorities have concluded their investigation and forwarded evidence, including the 911 audio recordings, to the Louisiana State Attorney General, who is currently investigating possible state criminal law violations. In light of the Attorney General's ongoing criminal investigation, the 911 audio records are not yet considered public records under Louisiana Public Records request. It is presently the district's policy and intention to promptly produce complete audio recordings to any requested parties upon receipt of the official notification from the Attorney General that the Attorney General's criminal investigation has been concluded. That's all it was. So there's no violation of that information here. It doesn't give the specifics. The question that I have is, under your policy, did any media, anybody ask for the 911 tape within, say, the first 24 hours of the shooting of Alton Sterling?
I don't recall the time frame, but numerous media outlets have requested the 911 call.
Okay, is it possible that they came within 24 hours?
It's possible.
Okay, why weren't they released then?
Because the ongoing investigation.
It hadn't begun within 24 hours.
Well, because of Baton Rouge City Police, because they were investigating, we don't release anything that's under investigation.
Okay, so they hadn't started the internal investigation. None of that had happened within 24 hours. So if someone had within 24 hours, is it possible for us to get those requests?
Well, I'm going to tell you what my process is.
Okay.
As the custodian of records, I receive requests like that, and I send it to the attorney for whatever law enforcement agency in this case, it was Baton Rouge City Police.
Okay.
So I send the public record request to them, and they let me know whether I can release it or not.
Okay. Leanne, please. Thanks, Stacy. So immediately, and I would think this too, I wish I had thought about it. After the shooting of Alton Sterling, she began getting media requests. So who in your department handled that?
When you say she,
Miss Stacy.
we don't represent the communications district. Henry Olin does.
Mr. Olin?
Yes.
So that means Mr. Olin told you, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Mr. Olin advised not to release?
In this case, from what I can recall, it was the Baton Rouge City Police attorney.
So who would that be? Isn't that you all? Okay, what's her name, Myrna? Brandy, I'm sorry, Brandy. So Brandy, did you get that request? Or were you at to consult on it?
Did we receive public records requests?
Yeah, she received the public records request, and she wanted to know from you all whether or not she could release that. Would you have been the contact person?
At that time, I was the public records and the legal liaison for the police department, and any request that we would have received at that time, we would have said that it was a part of an ongoing criminal investigation, because the criminal investigation started at the point that the police department arrived.
Okay, so.
Councilwoman, you want
okay,
your
I got
additional
you.
time? You want your
No,
additional time?
I'm good. I got you. So yeah, I guess so. Sorry. So the investigation began day one of when the officers, when Alton Sterling was shot.
The criminal investigation began as soon as the police department arrived on the scene.
Who is the subject of that criminal investigation? Was it Alton Sterling or the officers?
I do not know who the subject of the investigation would have been, but I'm believing because internal affairs showed up at the scene that it would have been the
Or
officers.
maybe both.
Correct.
Or maybe both. So in so many cities, and I guess that's our only frame of reference because we've never walked this walk before, what harm or why would that complicate anything, a 911 call? We hear that all the time. The first thing you hear is the 911 call.
I'm sorry, why would it complicate?
Yeah, why would that complicate the investigation?
In this instance, the Attorney General has asked that we
not now. I know
Okay.
now. I'm talking about day one.
That has been Baton Rouge Police Department policy.
Okay. So that's where one change that we probably need to look into, that the 911, for the sake of transparency. Okay. So the other question that I have is once the 911 call, the requests are made, the question that I think everybody wants to know, is there really a 911 call based on what you know? I mean, I hear the report, I see it, but based on what you know, is there really a 911 call?
I'm not privy to all of the elements that the law enforcement has, so I would believe that there is a 911 call based on my conversations with EMS.
Stacy, one question. Yeah, babe. Is there a 911 call? I know I heard that's what Mr. Olin said, but I'm just asking, is there really a 911 call? Go ahead.
Can you get a mic, Stacy? Please.
Okay, so Stacy, is there really a 911 call that ushered the officers into?
Well, I'm going to repeat what you just read from.
I know, but
Henrietta Lynn.
this is what you said. I'm the custodian of 911 calls.
Right. I'm the custodian of records.
Of records. As the professional in that capacity, is there a 911 call that had police go to that site?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Moroso.
I guess Brandy and Leanne, I kind of have some joint questions between both of you. Brandy, you're the attorney for the Baton Rouge Police Department. Is that accurate?
I was at that time.
You were at that time.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
What are you right now?
I am the public records attorney for the city parish.
Okay, so you work under the parish attorney's office?
I do.
Okay, so you're saying that it is policy for us not to release any 911. What is the policy concerning releasing of the 911 calls?
It is the policy of Baton Rouge Police Department that when there's an ongoing criminal investigation, that evidence not be released.
Okay. Leanne, let me ask you a question. Is that policy based? I mean, is that just policy, or is that something the council that we can change? I mean, I know. I mean, someone mentioned, I guess in Minnesota, just 24 hours after a tragic shooting up there, that a 911 call was released. You see it across the country. Is there any reason that would not allow Baton Rouge would allow Baton Rouge to be able to release these type of calls, other than policy?
The bottom line is state law excludes evidence in a pending criminal investigation from the Public Records Act. So when someone submits a public records request, we don't produce records which are part of a pending criminal investigation.
But that's policy, correct?
Right.
Okay,
Well, no, that's the public records law. As far as what, like, for instance, some 911 calls, there is no criminal investigation, and they will go ahead and release the 911 call. But as far as whether or not a particular 911 call may or may not prejudice
I
pending
guess what
criminal
I'm trying to get to,
investigation,
and I only have a limited amount of time and I don't want to extend, is that based on policy? Can we, through an ordinance, be able to change that?
I guess you could, but there would still be situations, for instance, in this case, we have been directed by the Attorney General's office. First, we were directed by the Department of Justice, and in this case, we've been directed by the Attorney General's office not to release the tape. So even if the council passed a resolution telling us to release the tape, we couldn't.
Well, not even talking about this. I'm you know,
Right. So
I
it's
understand,
always
but I'm
gonna be
saying
right.
looking on into the future, would that, I mean,
It's always going to be a case-by-case determination as to whether or not.
but apparently it's not a case by case. It's if there's a police investigation, then the policy is that it is not released at that time, correct?
If it's part of a pending criminal investigation, they don't release the 911 tape.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilwoman Freiberg.
I just wanted to speak to the folks who have suggested that some of us aren't listening and that coming here is pointless. I would tell you that I think I speak for everyone up here. We've been listening to the comments of every single person who's spoken. Please understand that I think everyone up here feels the way you do, that we wish this would be expedited and that the determinations would be made. But we don't control the timeline for this investigation. And we do appreciate hearing the voices. But because we don't speak, because I don't speak, is not because I'm not listening. It's because I came here to hear you and to listen, not to speak.
Councilman Watson, please don't yell out.
I won't. Leanne, can I speak with you just a second? When Councilman Amoroso was asking you about release of 911 tapes, I understand that you said that if it was part of a criminal investigation, they wouldn't be released. That is something that we're prohibited to do by state law?
No, it's not that you're prohibited. It's that under the state law about what a public records is, it doesn't include that. The problem with a blanket policy, to say, for instance, that regardless of whether or not there's a criminal investigation, we're going to dictate that there's a policy that they do release the 911 calls, that's a terrible idea. I have not heard the 911 call, so I have no idea what's on it.
Nor have
but
I.
there could be situations where it jeopardizes a criminal investigation.
Oh, I understand completely.
And any potential prosecution. We have no way of knowing. That is why I haven't heard it, but the Department of Justice had heard it, and the Attorney General's office has heard it, and they've told us not to release it.
Okay.
So presumably there's a reason, but I don't know what it is.
My question, my understanding, and I'm going to echo what you're saying, and I understand the folks sitting in the audience are probably not going to be too happy with what I'm saying, but when the shoe's on the other foot and someone's making claims in a 911 call that would eventually end up in a jury trial, and if those 911 calls were made public, would you imagine that may cause the movement of a venue or something to get people away from information that was released to the public that may prejudice a jury to convict someone that was the subject of the 911 call?
I can certainly envision many circumstances where the release of the 911 call could prejudice a criminal prosecution. I'm not saying it would in this time. In this case, I have no idea.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. I have no more.
Councilman Cole.
One question, Leanne. One question. If this body were to pass a resolution relative to 911 calls being released immediately, specific to police shootings, could we do that, or could the DOJ or Attorney General prevent us from doing that if it was specific to police shootings?
If you adopt the policy, then what I would anticipate is that someone would apply for a stay order. Either the district attorney or the Attorney General's office would ask for a stay from a court.
In the event of The policy being passed or in the event of the police shooting?
In the event that we were going to release a 911 tape that could prejudice a criminal investigation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, council members, a motion to receive the update from the report. Motion by Cole, second by Watson. Any objections? Seeing none. Go to item 162, receiving a report from the Baton Rouge Film Commission on ride-along TV program, which was begin filming soon in Baton Rouge by Councilman Watson. Council members, there want to be a deferral by Councilman Watson to the 8-9 council meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing, we should speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Need a motion to defer by Councilman Watson, second by Freiberg. Are there any objections? Seeing none, motion is item is deferred. Item 163, to provide a 2017 second quarter update on the East Baton Rouge Head Start Early Start Program by the Human Services Director.
Good afternoon, council members. Paula Roddy, DHDS Director. In front of you, I have the second quarter updates. It's a handout. And I've also provided you with our annual report for 2015-16 for the Head Start Early Head Start program. And I'll be happy to answer any questions if you might have any.
Councilwoman Freiberg.
I haven't had a chance to read this report because I just got it. But what percent of young people would you say are in this parish who would be eligible for early Head Start programs if we had universal pre-K for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds? What percentage of our young people in this parish do you estimate are not being served at this point?
I can tell you right now that we're funded for 1,502 slots for the Head Start program. And right now we're having some difficulty recruiting the 3 to 5 age group because there's so many opportunities for that age group. So we are short about 280 students. However, for the early Head Start program, ages 0 to 3, I'm completely full, and I have a waiting list of 231. So the need is for 0 to 3. There are fewer opportunities. So I would say that the greater percentage is for 0 to 3.
Anything else? Councilwoman Wicker?
I just want to say thank you so much for this report, because there was one little page on here where the little boy was writing, they were teaching him how to write his name, named Micah. And I'm like, oh my God, I can teach my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old to do that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that picture in particular, because it gave me a great idea of how to teach my kids to write their name. But I think you guys are doing a really good job, and I appreciate everything that's happening. These reports are helping because we were able to see the continual and steady progress and growth of the program and what you guys are doing, and you're doing a phenomenal job. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council members, just make a motion to receive the report. Motion by Freiberg, second by Cole. Any objections? The report has been received.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 164, providing the Metropolitan Council the first 2017 economic update from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber by Councilman Wilson. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council members. My name is Donnie Miller, Director of Business Development for the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, here with the first half of our year update on economic development. I'm going to be talking about our 2017 accomplishments and our recruitment strategy moving into 18. I may be a little bit ahead of our computer, but that's okay. It'll catch up. It's important to note there are a lot of publications that are touting really positive things about our region and our area. Lowest cost of business according to KPMG, lowest cost of business in 2016 according to Business Facilities Magazine, top 10 regional South MSAs, metro area with the highest level of manufacturing and best quality of life according to Business Facilities 2016. The graph in front of you, it's important to note where we are currently in our yearly plan. Our goal is, of course, 350 jobs, net new jobs to East Baton Rouge Parish. And where we are as of today is 120 jobs with 3 company wins. We are on track with many more to exceed our goals, and we should have hopefully some new announcements over the next few months. But we can't really tout that until the line is crossed. Next slide, please. The average salary per job announced is exceeding $70,000 currently. This is a drastic increase from last year. Currently, there's a little over $11 million in payroll that have been announced with these current jobs. 3 project wins: Project Omega, DARC, and LUCO. Project Omega was a cancer treatment, proton cancer treatment facility. It created 95 net new jobs at a payroll of $9.9 million with an average salary of $105,000. They have a capital investment here in the area of over $85 million. Project DARC, which is helping diversify our economy in a different direction in the digital media side with virtual reality and augmented reality, creating 20 jobs here in Baton Rouge. Average payroll at $1.1 million with an average salary of $55,000. The CapEx in their building location currently is undetermined, but they will be locating here within 2018. Project LUCO, a manufacturing facility in North Baton Rouge, net new jobs, 5, with an average payroll of $200,000, average salary of $40,000. In total, again, we've created 120 new jobs to East Baton Rouge Parish with a little over $11 million in payroll, over an average salary of $70,000, $86.5 million in capital investment. Along with our interest in bringing new jobs, we also have to have a focus on what's here currently. We have a program that's focused on expansion and retention of jobs here in Baton Rouge. This is a slide to help understand and illustrate where we are in our engagements with business retention and expansion projects. A little over 68 engagements have happened as of the year, with a goal of over 100 that will be accomplished. Startups visited at 9, connections, companies, and workforce connections at 12, and startups assisted here in East Baton Rouge Parish were at 5. Well on track to exceed our goals. But it's also interesting to see what's in our pipeline moving forward. We have a class system ranked as an A, B, and C class system. Currently, between what we determine is a 70% chance or greater of closing these deals and bringing these companies to Baton Rouge, a little over 255 jobs as of our last scheduled meeting. We believe that this will double in the next month. Class B projects, where you're seeing the most substantive number, between 30 and 60% chance of moving forward, a little over 5,000, well, a lot over 5,759 jobs in our pipeline, with an average payroll of $208 million. Moving to our total, we've got a little over 6,600 jobs potentially to come to East Baton Rouge Parish. $236 million in payroll, a capital investment of over $500 million with 20 active projects currently that we are working. It's interesting, the conversations we get in, people are interested to see what kind of development we're after. Software development, communication projects, consumer products, research and development, and corporate headquarter relocations, all which are in our pipeline currently. Along with our recruitment strategy, we continue to implement proven strategies that have worked again and again, providing city parish over 1,000% return on their investment with our contract. We're focusing on industries in the chemical area, fabricated structured metals, again, software design and video game development, technical research and consulting, and advanced shared services, all with the goal of keeping our graduates here in the state, specifically in the parish, and grow our ecosystem. We're also aggressively promoting our region to communicate East Baton Rouge and Louisiana's capital region value proposition, which makes it worthwhile to do business here in the area. We have a few strategic assets that we like to pair with and partner with, some being the Pennington Biomedical Research Center, Baton Rouge Airport, Southern University, LSU, LSU's Ag Center, and of course the Water Campus. I'm happy to answer any questions on where we are or where we're going, but that is my presentation and update.
Councilwoman Freiberg.
Donnie, I want to thank you for this presentation, but I couldn't see it.
I will be producing this
And-
digitally to everyone.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you not only provide us with the PowerPoint, so then we can call you with our questions, but could you provide us with the notes too, so we have some of that information you gave us, which I don't think was on the slides, even though I couldn't see.
It was far away.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the report.
Councilwoman Banks.
Yes, Donnie. I heard you were talking about the partnerships, or you said airport.
Yes, ma'am. So there are regional assets that we have partnerships with that pair very well with companies that are moving into the area.
Give me an example of a partnership with the airport and a company.
Absolutely. The airport offers land that's available. So it gives us extra areas that we can promote built-to-suit options for companies.
Sure. Okay, and you said LSU, and you said LSU Ag, and then you said Southern University.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of
And BRCC and LCTCS.
So LSU and LSU Ag, what kind of projects do you do with them?
Anything that's going to pair, I'm going to repeat what exactly as you asked. Anything that's going to pair specifically with the agricultural needs or education that's being offered at the university.
Did you all work at all with the marijuana deals?
We have not.
None at all.
No.
So as it relates, I would assume that the projects that you are targeting are like really, really large projects?
Well, for example, one of the companies that located in North Baton Rouge was 5 jobs. But then, yes, we're all also targeting larger projects from numbers to 3 to 1,000 person operations.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out what, like LSU Ag, what kind of jobs?
They're not going to add the jobs. They're going to be able to partner with the company to help on research and technology that they might be working on.
Okay. One of the things that I recall when the mayor was running for office is there be someone within Baton Rouge, the Baton Rouge Area Chamber that is specifically assigned to economic development in North Baton Rouge.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I don't know when you all contract is up or anything, but that's something that I really still want to see if that's a possibility. And when we are looked at in North Baton Rouge, as units of chemistry and industry, for sure are some of the areas where we get a lot, but we're trying to reduce, and speaking with Frank Duke, a lot of the industry land and make it, it's not employment, I forgot what it's called under Future BR, but when your contract up?
It's a yearly contract.
Okay, so December?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was, maybe now it could be an understanding on how we could craft something where there's where someone within BRAF could be assigned to helping with the North Baton Rouge corridor.
Sure. The contract that currently exists between the Baton Rouge Area Chamber and the mayor's office is for a local EDO, economic developer, for the parish.
Okay, right.
Which is my position.
Yeah.
There are separate economic development districts within the parish, as in the Downtown Development District, North Baton Rouge Development District, all which have separate focuses. The Baton Rouge Area Chamber doesn't work on the retail side. We're working with local companies and headquarter positions to come in. I think it's a good conversation to have, but there are assets that exist that would filter or feed back up to the parish EDO and ultimately to the state.
I got you. Okay. But I just figured that maybe you run into other people and that could be part of it. But I do understand that the goals are different, and that's why we get a lot of the chemistry and the industry projects. But I have seen, just like you said, some smaller. So just thinking out the box, trying to get some stuff going.
Certainly.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Hudson.
Donnie, I know since you came and did the update for us about ITEP, you've had a chance to go and talk with the school board and other folks. So, I don't want to rehash ITEP, but just kind of give me a quick update. How are those conversations going? Do we as a body and they as a body seem to start coalescing around things? How's it going?
I think things are moving in the right direction. The first part of the process was educating and making sure everybody knew the change that happened per the executive order from the governor. We did have a chance to meet with an information session in front of the school board. I think it was received well from the folks that were being educated, And then as of tonight, you will, it was filmed last night, Louisiana Public Broadcasters had a conversation, a dialogue with folks from all over the state, Secretary Pearson being one of them, discussing the industrial tax exemption. There were folks from nonprofit groups there to speak for it and against it, and then people from industry there to speak for it and against it. I highly recommend people engaging to not only educate themselves, but start looking forward. The process, to your question, I think is being streamlined. It is being organized, and that's the first step before we even start considering contracts. It's making sure that the companies are aware of how to do business here.
Okay, council members, we're going to have, yes, sir.
Council members, for those of you all who don't know, I serve as the liaison to the Baton Rouge Area Chamber of Commerce in the mayor's office. And I want to thank you, Donnie, for a great presentation. We work together daily. I did want to mention, Councilwoman Banks, that we do work on projects, and we are in conversations with projects that could benefit the entire parish as well as North Baton Rouge, as well as for the first time in the contract that we have with the Baton Rouge Area Chamber of Commerce in the 12 years, I think, that the city has had a contract with the Baton Rouge Area of Commerce. We included in their contract to focus on small business development and women and minority-owned businesses. So we also are working with the Chamber to ensure that when we get these bigger opportunities with corporations, that we identify ways for local, small, and minority-owned businesses to also connect with these opportunities. So I did want to add that to the discussion.
Thank you. Motion to receive an update. Motion by the chair, second by Cole. Any objections? Seeing none. Council members are going to take item 165 and 166 together. And these two, item 165, receiving an update as to the timing recycle bins are picked up and discussing the issues as to why they are not being picked up according to the schedule by Councilwoman Collins Lewis. Item 166, receiving an update on why trash and debris is not being picked up on a more timely basis by Councilwoman Collins Lewis. Council members, Councilwoman Collins Lewis wants to defer to the August 9th meeting. This is a public hearing and wants to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Councilmember motion to defer by Cole, second by Wicker. Any objections? Item is 165, 166 has been deferred. Councilmember, other items to be adopted emergency. Councilmembers are going to need 8 council members for these last items. Item 167. Authorizing the mayor president to execute a joint agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey and the United States Department of Interior that provides maintenance and operations of 23 real-time river gauges along rivers and drainage basins areas in East Baton Rouge Parish by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Reason for emergency: this agreement should have been entered into in January of 2017. Timing is now critical with the agreement to give us access to read river gauges in the event of heavy rains and flooding. Council members, in accordance with Ordinance 16442, this item requires a vote to be declared an emergency. I need a motion to declare this emergency. A motion by Wicker, second by Watson. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 167 is declared emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, a motion. Motion by Watson, second by Amorosa. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 167 has been approved. Item 168, authorizing the mayor president to approve the increased dollar amount of annual contract A17-0927 lawn and maintenance, landscape maintenance for EMS and buildings and grounds by a total of $7,000 and award contract to Groundworks for an amount not to exceed $198,000 by Director of Maintenance. The reason for emergency is time sensitive. The prior annual contract expired on June 30th, 2017. The current contract agreed to extend their services for an additional 30 days. The extension will expire on July 30th, 2017. Council members, I need a motion to declare this item an emergency. Motion by Cole, second by the chair. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 168 has been declared emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. On anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, I need a motion. Motion by the chair, second by Cole. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 168 has been approved. Item 169, extending the 2016 budget contract with Louisiana Waste Systems for demolition debris hauling in September 30. This says September 31st, September 30th it should be. There is no September 31st. September 30th, 2017. Currently, Department of Development Neighborhoods Revitalization Division is processing an RFP for this service. The Department of Development is requesting an extension of the contract to allow demolition and debris hauling to continue until RFP process is finalized. By Kerry Chauvin, Director, Department of Development. The reason for emergency, requesting extension until RFP process is finalized. Council members, I need another motion to declare this an emergency. Motion by Wicker, second by Cole. Are there any objections to declare an emergency? Seeing none, item 169 has been declared emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on which to speak on this item. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members need a motion. Motion approved by Watson, second by Wicker. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 169 has been approved. Item 170, authorizing the mayor president to execute an amendment to that certain home program housing loan program agreement authorized by the Metropolitan Council Resolution 15837, which is agreement was entered into between the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge and Mid-City Redevelopment Alliance, Inc. for the development of the 24th Street project, said amendment to allow Mid-City to use additional properties for the completion of said project by Community Development Director. Reason for emergency, title issues, and disbursement deadlines. And council members, this is contingent on budget supplement being signed. I need a motion to declare item 170 an emergency. Motion by Green, second by Wicker. Are there any objections to the item declared emergency? Seeing none, ladies and gentlemen, it's a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Council members, I need a motion to approve. Motion by Cole, second by the chair. Are there any objections? Seeing none, item 170 has been approved. Need a motion to adjourn. Motion by the chair, second by Wicker. Meeting is adjourned.
I want to announce that Councilwoman Donna Collins Lewis will host the 9th Annual District 6 Back to School Extravaganza in partnership with Senator Regina Barra, Star Hill Church, AmeriGroup Louisiana, and professional athletes supporting students on August 5th at the Baton Rouge Community College Wellness Center, 201 Community College Drive, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Also, Fishing for Backpacks has a school supply event presented by Good Times Bass Club on Saturday, July 29th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Waddill Wildlife Refuge, 4142 North Flannery Road. It's sponsored by a number of people. But if you have any information, it is 225-810-8649. One more back to school event is August 5th at Glen Oaks High School, sponsored by the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office and Councilwoman Erica Green. Thank you.